Hello.
Whoa, look at the background change. That's fancy.
Oh, yeah.
Ah.
The magic. One day we'll have our own intro video. One day. Well,
I feel like
keep
that was
forgetting
like,
to do it.
that's the wrong show. That's what I was.
I know. And then it's a Friday morning and I'm like, man, I didn't do the intro video again. Well, we'll do it next week. Although there is no AspiriFridays next week because all the Americans are off to celebrate our independence.
I'm going to the baseball.
Oh, wow. Sports ball.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, sports ball.
Hall of Fame weekend next weekend.
Oh. At the Safeco.
Yeah, well, yeah, T-Mobile, but yes, Safeco.
Oh, wow. That is, before I left Washington, I went to the stadium with my friend Aaron and my buddy Jesse and our partners. And what a beautiful stadium.
It's gorgeous.
It's absolutely.
It looks out over the Seahawks stadium next door, and then you can see all of Seattle on the other side of it, depending where you sit. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's always, especially in summer, it's just a beautiful place. I'm going on Monday night because it's going to be beautiful weather here on Monday, and then go again on July 4th. So
wow, that should be a bop. That's cool. Yeah, I grew up in Cleveland, so I went to the Jacobs Field, and that went pretty good. We go to the Cleveland Browns stadium in the winter and basically just don't feel your body because it's so cold and everything's concrete. We went the day after Christmas one time, and I was in 1,000 layers. I was like the Christmas Story, which is also in Cleveland, and I was just like in 8,000 layers until I was completely frozen like an icicle. It was ridiculous. So.
Didn't you have Sounders tickets when you lived in Seattle?
I was a Sounders. I was Sounders till I died, aka Sounders until I canceled. I was 9 years Sounders season ticket holders. Whoa. Yeah, I was convinced because I had one friend that I worked at many moons ago gave me a ticket to, hey, I'm out of town, go to a game, and it changed my mind. I wasn't even a soccer/football fan, and it was like the I'm not a sports ball person, but it was like the most amazing experience ever. I was like, oh my gosh, like the energy was so amazing. And I was like, I got to become a season ticket holder. So even after I moved, I still was, and we'd come back like on occasion, but I just got sort of sick of the Ticketmaster selling tickets and doing stuff. But anyways, Sounders, woof, what an experience. As far as I like soccer because it's 90 minutes. You get in and you get out. The problem with baseball, you'd be there.
You don't have to stay the whole time. But this is, we could go into a whole thing about baseball as I'm only a new,
it's much faster now too. It's much faster the last couple of years after the rule changes.
Right. But in the scheme of things, obviously I'm new to it. Like I grew up watching cricket, not baseball, but there are some similarities. But it is interesting reading articles from people who talk about baseball as an American cultural phenomenon and how the purpose of baseball was to create time where you had nothing else to do. The whole point was to go there, watch a slow game so you could talk to people that you wanted to be with. And that was the intent. It wasn't meant to be a flashy, go and watch some to 90 minutes of entertainment type thing. So, it's an interesting kind of...
And then they started charging $20 per beer.
Well, it depends on what beer you buy. Like if you're a snob like me, then yeah. But if they do have the value cans.
We used to go to
maybe in your modern baseball park, but if you go into Fenway Park, I don't think you can get a beer for under $20.
That's the trade-off you make for nostalgia and history.
I know. You can't see the field from half of the place.
Getting tetanus from all the.
You got to go to the spring trainings. When I lived in Arizona, we used to go to the spring trainings all the time.
I always wanted to go.
Those are fun.
I'm going because my son's moving to Phoenix next month. August for college, and so I'll definitely be visiting him in spring, and we'll go see spring training.
That's so cool. That'd be so fun.
The last point I was going to make on that, James, about the Ticketmaster thing is the nice thing about little plug for the Mariners Flex membership is that you pay a fixed price up front for an annual membership, and then when you buy tickets, if you decide you don't want them, you can just give them back to the Mariners, and they refund it back into your credit, and so which is kind of cool. Nice. But you just have to use your credit doesn't carry over year to year. So as long as you're committed to going to 6 or 7 games, it's worth it basically. So
that's great. That's how it should be. I love that. Yeah, because everyone's schedule's all crazy nowadays. So it's like you never know when you're actually going to be there. So I mean, there are about 1,000 baseball games. So
yeah,
exactly.
Yep. And I missed the Red Sox being in Seattle last time I was in Seattle by a week.
Oh, so that was so unfortunate.
We were going to go, and then it was like, nope. But anyways. So sports, we're awesome. Welcome to AspiriFridays. Number 5. We're Fowler list today. He's actually taking a day off, which is Very unlike him.
No, he is, but he's been talking to us in multiple Teams channels this morning.
Correct. Yeah. He has not stopped talking since he woke up at 6 o'clock this morning, but he is technically off of work today.
Technically off
he
of
doesn't
work
have to go
today,
to meetings. So, but that's fine. I sent the link to a couple people who were like, "Oh, I have a meeting, but I'll see if I pop in." So we'll see if we get any special guests. But we don't really need a special guest today because we have the James Montemagno.
Hello.
The Mr. Celeb over here. You might be more famous than Fowler, so I think that might make you the most famous guest on this show. I didn't check the numbers, but it's fine. Do you want to introduce yourself? Everyone knows who you are, but you can introduce yourself anyways.
Oh, sure. I'm James Montemagno. I lead our developer community team here at Microsoft in our developer division, where we build all the cool things, including Aspire, dotnet, Visual Studio, VS Code, Playwright, all the things. And yeah, I think that I've talked a lot about Aspire. I talked a lot about .NET MAUI, obviously, came from the Xamarin days. So I've been mostly my foray is in mobile development. So that's my main thing. So I worked very close with Maddy and David and Rachel and the whole team for many, many moons. Yep. And Gerald, who makes sweet swag. And that's my majority background. And I've done a lot of APIs on occasion. I'm not really a front-end web developer. It kind of confuses me quite a bit. And when I do it with Blazor because I understand it a little bit more. And recently, I've been doing a lot of AI-driven development and doing a lot of things that kind of help the team or myself kind of gather feedback, do analysis, do a bunch of stuff. So I've been vibe coding a lot of different things that have turned into big projects. And actually, the Feedback Flow app in general is actually a fork of David Fowler's, who's not here because he didn't want to do it. The code is diverged by hundreds of thousands of lines at this point. But David created some command line tools to go scrape comments from like YouTube videos or Hacker News articles. And I thought that was cool, but I hate the command line. So I'm never going to use it. So I need a GUI because I'm a GUI person. So
you're GUI? That's gross.
I'm a GUI person.
He has a GUI center.
GUI center. And so I built Feedback Flow, which is an app that helps us analyze and do sentiment analysis, does all the AI stuff and does all the stuff for us. And I've been building it out a lot on GitHub and doing a bunch of stuff and vibe coding a bunch of stuff. And it started with just a functions backend, a Blazor front end, and has grown, but I'm pretty sure I'm doing everything wrong. I have Aspire in there, but I don't really use it. And then I don't even know if I grow it. Like I was telling you guys in the chat, I was like, I want to use like, storage correct and authentication correct and databases correct. And I'm not even like, or potentially use them. I don't know what route to go. So I funnily enough, I present on Aspire all the time. I use it in almost all my apps. It doesn't mean I'm doing it right necessarily, or like in a real production app where I can kind of hello world anything. But
what's cool about this one is it's open source too. So, we'll see what we can commit. When you said Feedback Flow, I was very excited because I remember distinctly when Fowler like built Feedback Flow over a weekend because there was a Reddit thread that went off the rails. And he was like, I want an analysis of this Reddit thread. And we were like, okay. And that's how it began. And then it was like, run it through YouTube, run it through all of it. And so now what James is being very humble about the usage of this app, almost everyone, at least on the .NET side now, is running major like videos that take off or like Reddit threads that get very contentious because we do love those as much as we, pretend to ignore them. We love the contentious Reddit threads. Whatever else you want.
And just to add to it.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry, I was going to say it might come off as if it's just doing basic sentiment analysis. This is a lot more than that. So like, people have done sentiment analysis on tweet streams or social media posts for years now using various types of machine learning and whatnot. But this was Fowler, if I recall correctly, he spent like quite a lot of time in ChatGPT, I think, devising like how could I go about building out analysis, what type of facets should we look at, what type of things should we highlight, what metrics should we use about the number of posts per individual, like in order to gauge how active the post is, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, and he explored lots of different ideas on basically different prompts that would result in different ways of highlighting or giving the best subjective, succinct sort of summary of the feedback so far. So it's vastly more than just give me a sentiment analysis of this thing and like tell me how many posts were negative and positive. It's much more complicated than that. But he actually spent a lot of time with the AI to devise and figure out and explore different ways of doing that, of approaching it, kind of the exploratory kind of algorithmic development phase before he then committed stuff to code. And then he kind of vibe coded the whole, well, I don't want to learn how to use the Reddit API or the GitHub API or the YouTube API. So he's just like, just write the code for me.
Yep.
And so I think it was one of his first real forays into vibe coding before it was even called vibe coding. I think this actually happened before the term vibe coding had taken off. Like this,
it did. It totally did. Yeah,
it did. But he literally, he didn't write the vast majority of the code. He got the AI to do it. And as you said, James kind of took it and ran with it and turned it into something that's polished and nice.
Yeah. So I'll show you what it looks like today. Which also this application. So the first thing I did is I refactored all of his code into reusable bits and pieces because there's a bunch of different command line tools. So I put everything in reusable, basically formats, and then added new services like Blue Sky and Twitter and things like that on top of it. And then added a functions backend, a web front end, and aspired it up. And I even followed his naming conventions, except for the Aspire stuff. But it's like shared. It was like RD dump, Hacker News dump. So I put shared dump and then YouTube dump. So, but this is the app, and there is a dark mode. So this app was not. It was written by me, but authored by Copilot. So like Fowler, I've written maybe like 20 lines of code in this entire app personally by hand. So this is a real application that lives on the internet. And it's using my real personal Azure subscription. I like light mode better. So for example, let's say I went to into like a video of mine and I copied this link and then I shoved it in here and then I hit analyze comments. It goes off and it goes and pulls all those comments from YouTube. And then it's going to also now call into, and I like my confetti. Thank you very much.
Confetti is new? Is that new?
No, it's been there forever.
No.
Oh.
If you don't have confetti in your app, then you're not living.
I usually do it on my phone. Maybe I didn't notice.
Probably. So this went off and it just called Azure OpenAI services to do sentiment analysis. And specifically, it has prompts. So you were talking about prompts. These are the prompts that it sends, and you can customize them off. So basically, inspired by Fowler, each service has its own prompt specifically. They're all kind of the same. But if you are very interested in, I'm using Hacker News or YouTube for a specific thing, you're a marketing person, you might change it to be more interested in a specific video. It's very tailored towards us. But what it's done is it's gone off and now it has analyzed this and I've changed it over there, but it has like a TLDR, it has like sentiment analysis, content feedback, viewer questions, actionable recommendations, and then I can view comments. I can speak it back. I can copy this to my clipboard. I can share this.
It back? Is that new? I hadn't noticed that one.
No, it's been there. The cloud coded up.
I'm always just like sharing the link or.
Yeah, exactly.
So Damian asked for a shareable link URL. So now I have that, and that just went off and it stored it in blob storage and created a shareable URL. And then you can save it to your history and as well. And then you could give this to anyone on the internet and it's good for 30 days and I scrub it.
Save to your history, you're using because there's no sign in per user, if I recall. So is this just like browser storage or a cookie with an ID or something?
Yeah. So what happened here is that when I hit save,
it creates a URL and save to history, adds it to my browser history. Is that what's happening?
Two things happen. One thing happens is that when I hit share, it makes a request to my backend and it says, please save this. So it takes the report and it sends it to my Azure function and it has a unique GUID and then it stores that into blob storage. So now when I go to this page, it goes off and says, give me the report for this GUID and it pulls it from blob storage. Now, the other thing that it has done is in my saved, these are all my saved analysis, and these are all local. So these are local in here. Yes. If I go into my index DB,
love it.
These are stored here basically for each entry. Now, I have a plan in the future to not do this. I don't have user accounts right now, so everything is in browser.
Yep.
However, there's obviously there's some backend, right, which is the table storage, which is cool. And
it's actually kind of, I think, really illustrative of the journey that web apps can take now, because the browsers are so rich. It is actually, you can start with a fully front end thing and still get things like memory and saving and even indexing locally and all those type of things before you get a back end. And then once you get a back end, you can think about, okay, now I need to migrate some of these features to be back end powered, so I get portability across browsers and devices and whatnot. But in the past, that kind of just wasn't possible. In the past, like before browsers had features like that, where all you could store was a cookie. Now you can actually build stuff out that way. It's kind of curious and interesting, I think, that you did that. But I imagine that's pretty common now. People start out with a very browser focused, use the features, and then once they add a backend, they might start migrating more of that functionality to the backend.
I think so. That's sort of my hope and my plan, is that I should be able to leverage the in browser, and then so if you don't sign in, I can just store it locally. But if you sign in, then I can sync it to the cloud.
And you can migrate. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love it.
So that's going to be sort of my plan. Now, the other thing that I'm doing here too, and this is in a feature branch that Copilot and I are jamming on right now, pretty in depth. This is a pretty big PR. So I have this big PR, which is the reports feature. So I have another feature in this app, which is called reports. And I started this feature because people don't want to go to I created a website, but people don't want to go to the website. What they want to do,
to be pushed to them on some trigger or something.
That is correct. So Fowler wants to do on demand, but what he wants is a roll up, right? So he wants to come in and say, hey, go to the .NET one and then load a report. So this is a report. It uses all the same functionality.
Oh, wow.
But it goes off, and every week it grabs all of the Reddits. I have GitHub now as well. It goes off and it grabs all of the posts that were posted in the last 7 days, or I can do up to 30 days, or as many as I want technically.
Yeah.
And it does an analysis, and it ranks them based on points and comments for spiciness. And what it will do is it create a TOC. It'll do a weekly report of everything. So give me a report of everything that's happening, and it'll give you the top sentiment and mood. What's the mood of the Reddit this week? And then it'll do top comments, and then it'll do a mini analysis of everything here.
And is that doing that as like one, like a batched, it does a mega LLM driven kind of generation based on all the top posts, and then it saves it? Is that kind of like similar to how you've done the other stuff? This will get saved and then.
Yep. So what's happening here, it's actually really crazy. So what ends up happening inside of this is I have a reporting function, and the reporting function does a Reddit report, and it will go off, and let me bump this up a little bit here, is it goes off and it finds all the top threads. It has like a little ordering mathematic, basically what I want here. And then it will basically flatten the comments, do an analysis, and then it does its own little custom analysis of all the thread titles.
Interesting.
In general. And then it will take the top commented threads and then do a mini analysis of each. And then
interesting.
It will go off and it actually then analyzes all of them. So it goes and analyzes each of them for a mini analysis. And then it generates an email report. So I had it, here we go. So this generates so I send this in an email. So it generates a huge HTML report with all this information. So what's actually happening is I store this entire HTML blob in blob storage. And that's what is actually being returned here and then visualized. I take HTML and I do HTML to Markdown, or actually I just put the HTML in the browser because it's just there. And then I retheme it as well. So it takes all of this and it puts it all here. And then you can one click, deep link, and then you can analyze that deeper if you want. So kind of cylindrical cycle. And then you can also share it. So for example, this URL is just a URL that you can then share the report and it's available, right? Because it's all public data. So like if I drop this in, anyone can do it in general.
And are the report types hard coded in the app right now? Or can I come up and say, create me a new report for these keywords or something?
Well, that's a great question. So as again, like I was iterating, right? Because this is like people are like, you should sell this. I'm like, no, because it's completely incomplete. like I'm like revving things in real time. So this one is I worked with Copilot to create a report system. So my first one was let me generate a report. So I actually have a logic app that every Monday goes off and it calls a method to generate the reports and then emails team members. So I have distribution groups here at work that does it. But I said, wouldn't it be nice for Damian to say, I care about this repo, I care about this subreddit, and then show me my reports. So I basically worked with it to generate this. So this is in this branch that I have. And what it's doing is basically exactly what you said. It is going off and there will be a new button here. So when you go to reports, it will only show you my reports, and you can create a new, it'll do a new report. So what will happen is, because I don't have user accounts, what it will do is it will go off and it will, in the back end, say, I want Reddit Azure. And then it will go in a table storage in a table, say somebody has requested this, and it'll increment or decrement the people that are subscribed to it. And every Monday, I now have another trigger that fires off that will generate all those reports. And then in your browser history, I have another IndexedDB table that are the ones that you submitted. So you requested in the back end, it's saved, you save it local. And then what I do is when I come to this page, I go to your IndexedDB and say, what does Damian care about? Go filter it on the back end, only return what you care about.
So why on the reports page do you need to re-implement? Did you, like, this only does GitHub and Reddit right now? Like, why doesn't it just, is it not the same logic for all of the socials? Like, you have to re-implement this feature for each one for some reason?
Yeah, so what I want the reports to be sort of like a weekly recap, right? So when you go here, this is a point. Now you can have multiple URLs, so you could do this. So this is just a article, multiple articles. It is not the entire subreddit. You know what I mean? So what I wanted the reports to be are sort of weekly summary reports. So I implement new logic that's like, go off, go figure out all the new ones, go pull it down, and then go do stuff, basically.
Okay, I guess I'm just asking for the reports one. If you go back to that UI that you had up, you've only got 2 sources that you support right now, rather than all the sources. Is that just and is that because you had to do custom things to do the reporting for GitHub versus Reddit versus all the other sources? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So I have custom logic that Fowler wrote, actually, which is like, go give me all of the issues and then go give me all of the comments for those issues. So I basically have a few different services. So actually inside of this code in the shared dump, terrible names, I have these services. So I have like a Blue Sky service, a Twitter service, and a bunch of other things.
Do they actually have interfaces? Is it just like I social source? Or no, they're strongly typed to GitHub itself. That's just for mocking. There's no like base, like all the social sites implement some contract and then you can just plug new ones in. This is all very custom.
It's pretty custom, I would say. Yeah, pretty much.
But it means possible. Maybe that could be a factoring that could be done in the future.
Yeah. So what I do today is I used to have it. So when you used to go to analyze, you used to have to pick your service.
Yes. Now you figure it out from the URL.
I just figure out by the URL. So when David did his was how he wanted it, right? Which was you could give it a bunch of IDs, you could give it a bunch of URLs, you could give it, and it would go grab as many things as possible. So when I first started doing it, I went down that path. And then I found that nobody was doing multiple URLs. They were doing like one URL, or like in this case, maybe 2 URLs. So, but you couldn't do them from different sources. So I said, well, that's silly, because let's say there's a Hacker News article, or Reddit thread, and a YouTube, post them all in here and then analyze all 3 of them. And now what I do is if you do multiple, it does a big combined and then also mini ones as well for each of them. So I just made it so it looks at the URL, because I found that nobody was looking at the IDs and no one was like going to post in a Hacker News ID in it. So I said, just only give me a URL. I'll figure it out based on the URL and then go from there. And that's been super helpful. So now the logic path is parse the URL, then use the specific service. And there are interfaces. Like, so for example, inside of the web app here, I have services and I have a feedback service. And there's basically all of these different services that know how to talk to Hacker News or Reddit or things like that.
So this one does look like it's a provider model, and
exactly,
the provider spits out the right implementation based on some name or URL or whatever it might be.
Exactly. And they all base off of feedback service. So a feedback service has the concept of get comments, analyze comments. So from my UI, I just say, go do this.
Interesting. Like and a couple of thoughts coming to my mind. One, you touched on this before when people are like, oh my gosh, you should like sell this. Like this literally were startups. There are companies like, if you think back to the beginning of socials, and then they're like, now we're like 18 years in or so. I know people pay for like social analytics sites and that do this type of functionality. This is entire startups. I just love the fact that in some way you could argue this is another demonstration of how AI assistance is helping like things just be done with a lot less resources and much more quickly. Because like I can absolutely see all the types of features that you've talked about, and then all the ones that one would expect next just being added by you in the agent in basically your spare time. And rather than this being some startup that's doing this. The second part that occurs to me obviously is this is all very user facing right now, and even though the reports is kind of the first automated cron type of stuff that you're going to do, but thinking forward to like agentic style stuff, you could absolutely imagine now a persistent agent that's scanning for trends on all of these sites on keywords that you determine. So that was one of the inputs to the system, but then it could proactively detect and analyze and summarize things that become trends before you even realize that they're a trend. And then, and that seems like a very logical and natural extension of this. And again, like people have been building stuff like that for decades, but building that now, like I think the more people understand, or it's just more accessible how to build those type of systems now because of the advent of LLMs in the last couple of years. And now, the agent infrastructure and platforms that are now available to us. Like you said, you're running on Azure for this, so you don't have to really think about the compute too much. You could throw an AI Foundry agent on this without a lot of effort, and then it would just be, doing the thing that you tell it to do. So I'm really interested to see where you take this as more and more people start using it.
And a lot it's been really fun because I'll get random emails from people in crazy parts of the company that are like, oh, I stumbled upon this. And like, here's my wish list, right? And some of the things aren't that far. A lot of the custom reports, a lot of the shareable stuff, like stuff that are there. And then once I have the ideas, I just throw it in there. So it's been really collaborative. I mean, I would say, I added this glassy UI. Claude did at least.
Glass is cool again, I heard.
Yeah, the glassiness. I did it before they did the glass, which is funny. And then I added a little like what's new section. So this is just like a little markdown file. And then I have a submit feedback button. But yeah, I've been adding and like really changing the UI a lot based on feedback. And well, this is something like you said, it's like I would have never been able to build this at all. Yeah. And I built the original prototype, by the way, in like 2 days.
Yeah.
Like in general. And then it was really fun. And I feel bad for my wife because I was really into the flow of the vibes that I was having. And I would be up at like 2 a.m. vibe coding. And I couldn't stop myself.
Yeah.
And the problem that I had is Fowler's also up at 2 a.m.
Yeah. Oh, you're screwed. You're screwed.
him and I are on Twitter and DMs just going back and forth. It's like this and then that thing and then this thing. And
the dopamine loop just continues.
Yeah.
and like, me, I'm like, fanboying out over here because like Fowler and I talk quite often, but it's never been like a distinguished engineer is like using a thing that I built.
Yeah.
I vibed and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I need to make it perfect for Damian, for Damian and Fowler. Then, oh my God, I was like, and then when you asked the question, I was like, I gotta make it for Damian. Then Fowler's asking this thing. I was like, oh my gosh. So it was really fun. And then, now it's like a whole bunch of people. And then Amanda, our CVP's using it. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah. It's
super helpful.
Yeah.
I vibe coded our AspiriFridays bingo board, like the same thing. I was watching the Pacers game rip and on a Monday night. And I was just sitting there and
Maddy, you need to share the URL.
I've shared it a few times in the chat, but not recently.
Hold on. Bingo game.
AspiriFriday.live, baby.
Oh, wow.
Just ripped that right off from Jeff. He's gonna make me a subdomain with an E, AspiriFied.
Hang on, Aspire.
I own both, so I should really just add a redirect.
AspiriFied.
Oh, there we go.
Live.
Okay.
.live.
Okay, perfect.
Vibes, baby.
I can tell you vibed it because when you hover over stuff, it gets bigger. That's how you know.
That's like the AI, like.
Yep.
I was going to ask you, James, like one of the things I'm actually most curious about with people vibe coding stuff, especially on the web, is the styling aspect. Because before I joined Microsoft, back in my actual professional web developer days, that on the teams, I was usually the person doing all the CSS. Like I was back in the heyday of IE6, we still had to support and all the cross-browser BS that we had to deal with. Like I was the guy who had that knowledge, and so I was always the one doing the styling, and I'd be taking the Photoshop mock-ups and tweaking them and then pushing them into styles. And now, like so much of this looks like you can just ask the AI, make the UI look like this. No, not like that. Like this a slightly different hue or whatever. Is that what you did for this? Like, is this the actual theming and the styling and like the actual aesthetic? Is that something you just spoke to the LLM about and it produced all of that? Or did you guide it with like actual concrete stuff at all?
No, I just told it to do it.
Wow.
I mean, and then I was guiding it, right? So I told it like how, if I wanted pills or I wanted like some like, hover like effects or, I want, and you can see there's inconsistencies, right? So if you go here,
not perfect, but
you go to feeds, like this is, that's pretty nice, right?
That's
so
pretty nice.
Yeah, but it's like if I go to this, it's different. I actually fix this. So like there's, it's kind of, and actually the new version, there's actually a glossy, really cool button. So like you kind of give it the base, and based on what model I'm using is kind of like what it kind of goes with. But I've been really working on the custom instructions to kind of give it more narration of what I want. But it was originally like a green, and then I went with like this kind of pastel-y purple because it was kind of Easter time, and I kind of vibed on it. It was pretty good. I had to generate the icon for it with an SVG, but no, I basically have just like told it what I want and the vibes.
Did it pick the CSS framework or anything, or is it all raw CSS or
raw CSS, man?
Oh, really? Okay.
All look at this. Oh, it's beautiful. 1,000 lines, and then there's razor.css's for each of them
for each
as
page,
well.
Sorry, each component. Yeah,
each component. Yep.
Wow.
So funnily enough, one of the biggest problems I ran into was at some point, somewhere, somehow, inside of my, where's it at? Inside of my, again, this is me not even knowing where any of the files are. Where's the web app at? There's like a file in the properties. No, in the components. Yeah, in the imports. Nope, in the app. I don't understand how Blazor works. So there was, for the longest time, I ran into this problem because somebody, might have been me, deleted this one line of code.
Oh, then you lost all your styles.
So, but like I never had them to begin with.
Oh, okay.
And like
Bootstrap, it says it's using Bootstrap here at least. Bootstrap icons and Bootstrap.
Okay, yeah.
But that's the default in Blazor.
Yeah, that's just what Blazor
Well, it's in the templates. It's the default, sure.
Yeah.
So you are using a CSS framework. Okay.
Yeah, and I did tell it. I tell it in my custom instructions what I'm using. Yeah.
Got
exactly. It. Yeah.
Okay.
And then it's gone off, and I've told it about like, this is like Fowler, David Pine's like speech synthesis library, and then
Pine mentioned that's on the bingo board.
Maddy.
So I didn't ask yet. I see Blazor Web. So this is Blazor Web, like .NET 8 and above, new SSR plus server. Like components can decide their interaction mode. It's that Blazor.
Server only, baby.
Okay, so it's good, perfect, love it. Just easier to reason.
one route, server only. That's it.
Love
Minimal dependencies, just Markdig and just this. But yeah, just .NET 9, Rocket. Whatever these warnings are, I don't care. And
that's required.
Pretty much it. Yeah.
Can you DM me the latest password? Because I just cloned it and tried to run it, and it runs. I just don't have the password anymore. You've changed it.
Well, if you run it locally, you shouldn't need a password.
Oh, it says authentication required.
Oh, you know what you need to do is you need to go into, well, I don't know, share your screen. Let's figure it out together.
Well, this is what I'm saying. So
right?
One of our I don't know, Aspire.
Well, how do you do this show?
Is that anyone should be able to clone and run, right?
You should be able to, yeah.
And now you failed. Correct. So this is where we'll begin, I guess.
Yeah. So are we helping you fix it? You're going to make me a PR against it? Is that what's happening?
I can do that.
I can do it too, but I already have it running. So, you should, it's, you know what it probably is a, oh, you know, there is a password. You need to set the password locally. Okay.
Okay.
Let me know when to bring up your screen.
Oh yeah, sorry. I'll do it at the stage. Whoa.
Wow.
What's
okay.
up?
So perfect. Okay. So yes. So there is a password, but this is a dev password on your local machine that you need to find. So the first thing is find the password, Maddy. Okay, no, go into your feedback web app and then drop that down.
Oh god.
There's so many files. And then open that app settings.json. Perfect. There's your password. It's password.
Oh, love it.
So we could just add the, I mean,
you know, we should invite Barry onto this stream and just watch him melt down at all the things in this app, because I was noticing a bunch of other stuff too, and I'm like, there's some things we could do on this web app to perhaps bring it up to slightly better security practices. But
fine. Just ask Copilot to fix it.
So there's a few things here of interest. So yes, one, how the web app works is that because it's calling functions, each function has a unique key. So you need the code for each. I'm not running locally. It doesn't matter. I like how you copied and pasted password.
I know. I don't know why I did that. That was a good habit.
Now this probably also won't work because if you look in those app settings,
none of the keys are there.
Well,
wait, so this when you're doing local dev, this is the key question for Aspirifying. When you're doing local dev, you're talking to Azure?
No, absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
No, when I'm doing local dev, so there's two modes. So go back into the project for me, Maddy. When you're done,
I know Aspirify and see where it fails.
It's definitely not going to work. It's going to say
I know it's not going to work.
Well, I don't know. Is it going to work?
I don't know. It's
doing
nice.
Yeah, exactly.
No valid comments for fans.
Okay, so a few things here. One, notice that this is the password, so that's like my password to get into the app. And on local dev, it doesn't matter because it doesn't really matter. So there's a few things. So one, there's a base URL there. Yep. So that is like that's my service discovery. Okay. Is a base URL, which I've not coded here, but we'll get to it because it is in the app host. But see, there's a use mocks.
Yep.
So there's two modes. If you turn that to true inside the web app, it will return mock data for everything. So if you post in a URL, it'll give you mock data so you can build out the UI and do stuff.
Remove dependencies, like just,
There's no backend. But basically, there's no backend anymore. Now, that being said, if you go into the feedback functions, Maddy, and then local settings.json.
Nice.
Notice here, this is where all the API keys go. So if you actually wanted to do real development, you wouldn't put them here. You'd actually put them into a secrets file.
Right.
But I used it as a reference.
Right.
You could go configure all of these tokens, which you're definitely not going to do. However, notice that there's a use mocks in the backend. So the question is, do you want your front end to talk to the backend and to the backend to return fake data, or do you want the web app to have just like local dev only, no backend mode? So I've configured this and I vibe coded it this week, basically, for you guys. So that one or both could be true or false, right? So if the backend is true, then that means the front end is going to want to talk to the backend. You'll need to configure the URL.
Yep.
And then if the front end is set to true for mock data, then it doesn't care about the backend, right? So if you go into the app host, did you run the app host?
Yeah, that's how I ran. I just ran, command lined it.
Perfect. So so look, it's actually set up.
Okay.
So it's there. Now, here's some fun facts. If you run the function by itself, it will run it on 7204. However, so if you go to your Aspire dashboard for me, Maddy.
All right. Let me pull up my thing back. I unrendered it. Shoot.
Is it? Oh yeah, there it is.
No, I had to. We have a bunch of rendering issues in the 9.3 version of the CLI. Alex had a good question in the chat about what if we could prompt you for some of these values? And I will probably upgrade this to the preview to show you how to do that.
I want you to note that it says 7204, but rest assured, it's definitely not running on 7204.
Oh, great. Love that for us.
So it says it is. It says it is, but click on it. Like, it's not. Oh, it is. What? How?
I mean, I was going to say we wouldn't lie to you, James. Like, what do you say?
Go to the logs. On my machine, it runs on a different port. That is for sure. Oh, it is. Okay, this is crazy then. Because on my machine, it runs on 7071 for some ungodly reason. And
that's hilarious.
And I can't figure out
how
why.
you know this is like purely a half-ass AspiriFi here. Like,
yeah, if you see a hard-coded URL, typically that, especially a local host URL, in the app host C# code, that is peak half-assery.
It wasn't always that way. If you were to go, it wasn't. So I was working with this with Glenn for a keynote. I couldn't get it to work. But if you actually go into the history of this file, let me see if I can find the history here of this file. I was doing something way better. I'm going to find it. I've refactored it 3 days ago. I'm going to find the commit for us here. Perfect. Okay. I was doing this. I was doing feedback functions project.get endpoint HTTP. I was doing that instead of hard coding the URL.
Okay.
Yep.
That's better.
That's good.
Because I already had so here's the thing. I already had existing environment variables, right? Very named with semicolons, which means I can't run it on a Linux environment.
Right.
Fun. I didn't know that until I tried to deploy it. Oops.
And that's why we double underscore it in every other show where we've done this, and we've retroactively set up the app host to use the existing environment variables or config settings of the app. We double underscore where there's usually a colon, and that's because of what you just said. You can't use colons in environment variables on non-Windows platforms.
Yeah, and the other thing of interest is I alwaase have these warnings, which is that because of the project name is all lowercase, Aspire gets mad at that too. So I always get a warning that
Aspire, that's not Aspire, that's C#.
Oh, it's C#. So
what happens is C# introduced a warning not that long ago, if I recall, but someone in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong. They reserve all lowercase identifiers as future keywords now. So if you have an identifier that is something other than a local member, like a variable, like even just a local member in a class, they will, I think it's basically type names. They will say, yeah, this is reserved, and they give you a warning because they don't want to break you in the future. But if you have, because Aspire app host generates code behind the scenes based on your project references, your feedback web app folder, I'm assuming, has a feedback web app.csproj, which is all lowercase, which means we generate a type that is all lowercase. And so then the C# thing kicks up. Yeah, I've noticed that as well. Not sure what to do about that. Like, it's kind of, we're fighting C# norms, which is Pascal case for type names, and .NET norms versus what kind of looks nicer when you're just looking at the code in the file system when you compare it to other stacks. But yeah, that's just what is what it is.
Now, I would never name my projects that, but because Fowler did, I was trying to be a good citizen and like follow naming conventions.
Well, I love that yours is a mix now, because this app has history. It's like, it's a bit of everything, which is great.
It truly is. Yeah. And then because I right-clicked Aspirified the project, then it just named those projects correctly, right?
Yep.
So, which is great. So I'm going to try to run it on my machine. So I have all sorts of issues. So when I run mine, like I have to go start Azure, right? Like manually, like I don't know. Like I think it works in Aspire, but I'm not actually sure.
It does.
Because
we can do all that
when I started the project, I didn't use blob storage or table. Okay. Do I need to do work though for that to happen?
Yeah. It's a hosting integration. So you need to add a package that says I use. Basically, the way to think about Aspire is you need to tell us about all the things that your app needs. You need to tell us about the topology or the architecture of your app from a systems architecture point of view. I have a web app and it talks to a database and it's a SQL or a Postgres, or I talk to Azure Storage, or I talk to AWS, whatever. And then we have integrations for each one of those things, right? So in the box, you get support for .NET projects, any container, if you can just run it as a raw container or an executable. Then if you want higher level integrations, like I want Azure Storage, or I want like the Redis specifically, rather than just a raw container, then you have to add a NuGet package that adds that integration. And so in the case, because you're using Azure, I saw you had the Azure Functions hosting integration in your app host, you need to repeat that for anything else. So Azure Storage, then you can add Azure Storage in there. You can say run as an emulator, then that will take care of downloading the container and firing it up for you.
I see. Yeah, because right now when I run it locally, like my app host, it just like sometimes just fails to start. And then I'm just like, I guess I'll rerun it. And I think it's because I have functions that are trying to spin up and run that are expecting the emulators and the things to run, I assume.
All right, well, shall we start there then? Maddy's trying to like update things in the background, it looks like.
I've now updated this at least to Aspire
to daily builds?
The latest nightly.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
So
all right,
you can see the dashboard changed a little bit, which is cool.
Okay. Shall we go to the app host? And it sounds like the first thing maybe to try is either getting rid of that URL that's in the app host, because that's really bugging me, or add Azure Storage.
Well, let's do James, you pick. It's your app.
Yeah, I mean, you could start by the URL. I'm trying to get it to see if my URL is correct on this machine or not.
So just so I'm clear, Feedback API, that's the functions project. That's what that's pointing at, the functions hosted API. Is that right?
So
line
6, that is telling the web app that this is where the functions live.
Got it.
Base
URL. So it is the function. So we should be able to just pass in a reference to the feedback functions project. Okay, so if you do that, that will set a different environment variable, and he'll have to update the web app to use service discovery, which we could do.
Then I got to change my Azure.
Why do you have to change your Azure?
Oh, I guess I wouldn't have to change my Azure.
It depends. Like if you change environment variables and you're not deploying through AZD with Aspire, then yes, you have to go and manually change the environment variables that you've manually set in your production instance to use. So I would typically get it working without adopting service discovery first, just so you do one thing at a time.
Yeah, because right now,
Maddy, like wants to do it all.
Throughout the source code, if you were to search for feedback API : base URL, you're going to find about 1,000 references to it.
Oh no!
Oh really?
10. Yeah.
I mean, at least it's parameterized. At least it's config.
That's true.
Yeah. So do a search for that. Yeah. Do a search for the feedback API base URL.
Get endpoint, Maddy.
Yep.
And then it'll be either HTTP or HTTPS typically, just whatever.
Yeah.
That's it. That'll be the name.
I think I did HTTP.
Hold on. How many? Oh, by the way, everybody look at this. Did you know you can move your VS Code sidebar to the bottom?
I did not.
Safia showed a demo to me the other day, and I was like, stop the demo. I don't care. How did you do that? It's just a setting.
Well, there you go.
And now I'm obsessed with it. Anyways, would you say feedback API : base URL?
Yes. Again,
that's not too bad.
I want you to remember that I didn't write the code.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So every service is like injecting in configurations so it can get so the other part that I don't like about this is that every service, the GitHub service, the YouTube service, like everything needs to call the functions backend, and every function has a different unique function code, right? So if you go in
a key has
a different
API key.
Yeah, API key.
Yeah.
So if you go into that app settings.json that you have there in the first tab there, Maddy.
This is the downside of using API keys for everything, by the way.
Yeah.
Like,
so notice
they're really easy when you start, and then it's like they don't scale well, and they're super prone to being leaked. so you could use certs.
Yeah, notice
use the same cert for all of them if you wanted to.
Yeah, notice every time I add a new API to the function backend, I have to go and see what I've done here. Now here's the thing.
When you just say to Copilot, "Is this really the most efficient way?"
Oh my lord! Hang on, wait. Now I'm going to admit I don't know anything about Azure Functions, like honestly. So I would assume that I could have one functions app with multiple functions in it, and I just have to auth with the app with a single key, and I could call any of the functions. Are you saying that's just not a thing at all? And each function that you deploy you have to separately auth with? You can't make them part of the same auth unit?
You can, but I've set all of them to a function level auth, which means each function has unique auth code for each.
So, but what you're saying is you did this to yourself. That's what I'm hearing.
That is absolutely
Copilot
correct.
did this to him. This is not his
Yeah.
fault.
The interesting part about all of it is that actually nobody needs access to this API at all. It could be an internal egress. Like only the website is accessing these APIs.
Right.
Like I've made it so difficult on myself for no reason, even though I love functions, but really each function is just an API, right? So like there's no reason there's like one, I love functions because I don't have to spin up a server, but the thing that has happened here is that every time I add a new API, there's a new thing, and now there's a Fowler staring. Now I'm just gonna be like, oh gosh. So
I don't even know if I want to put him up on the screen because I'm afraid of what.
There he is.
He's here.
What did you do to my code?
That's why I didn't want to. I'm so scared. So I have these keys everywhere. So if you were to search for one of these keys, Maddy, like any of them, they're going to be all sprinkled throughout. The whole thing. I mean, at least in one. So it's not terrible, right? But it's like they're all there. Yeah. So it's not ideal. Now, obviously, running local dev, you don't need keys because there's no keys. It's only when I deploy. So that's a me deployment problem at the end of the day. Now, really, what should happen is it should be service to service. Like my Blazor web app should just be able to talk to them. So if I had them in a container app, which I don't, I have a function app and I have an app service. So that's what I have. And I would love to actually simplify it more. But anyways, that's the vibe coding infrastructure that I have today.
Okay, so I think let's go back and focus on your app host and getting more stuff coordinated via the app host. I mean, that's really what Aspirifying is about as a first step, is getting the benefits of the app host. And that means describing more stuff, add more stuff to the app host, and try to do it in a way that doesn't mean your app has to change, right? Like that's the first phase we would typically recommend, is like get an app host, start adding stuff to it, adapt it to the shape that your app already expects. So that means what we're doing here to set specific environment variables you already read, and then we can start going from there. So are we sure it's HTTPS, Maddy? So line 6, the functions project, when you start that locally, is it going to listen on HTTPS or HTTP by default?
Let's find out.
For functions?
Yeah.
That got added
in properties launch settings,
That got added recently, I think.
Well, there's
project.
It supports both.
I think it's
HTTP, right?
Well,
that's a file.
It's also a hard-coded port. So I saw some chatter about this. Like, what is the thing here, Fowler? How are we supposed to do this with the function stuff?
Well.
Let me give you a live share.
Are you telling me this is just an area that's a bit of a wrinkle right now?
Well, we'll find out.
Okay, so tell us what to do.
Hold on, go back to the code.
Huh?
Yeah.
The app host. The app host.
Yeah.
Why are you calling get endpoint?
Because he's not using service discovery. We're pushing it into the existing environment variable.
I see.
Yeah.
Because I had created these and deployed these before I added Aspire to it.
How dare you, James?
I know. Well, it was the one part of the project that I had to do manual work on, and Copilot didn't write. So there's that.
Tough,
So it was a manual effort on my part, but I added it later because I wanted to demo it, obviously, and get things working. But since then, the main problems I keep running into is also whenever I add a new blob storage or table, I have to go manually create those in the back end and on the machines. I don't even know if any of that stuff will work because there's blobs and tables. So I have to install Storage Explorer, then connect to the emulator and get Azure running, and everything is just terrible basically.
That's easy.
Everything works on my machine
until
I go to another machine and then have to redo it all.
We need an Aspire version of the works on my machine sticker meme, which is works on all machines now with a little Aspire happy face or something.
I like that. Hold on, I should write that down. Very good, Damian.
And then we can award it to projects after they've been Aspirified and say, now works on all machines. Works on your machine.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah. Yeah, on the dev in the chat came to the same conclusion I did at the same time. Works on your machine. Works on my machine. Works on your machine.
That's pretty good.
I do think it is HTTP, Maddy.
Okay. I think it's HTTP by default. So I think it only turns on HTTPS if you pass in the use HTTPS
argument
command line option. Then we detect it.
Let's just call this bit undercooked at the moment, and we will just work around it. Okay.
Sweet.
Ooh.
So, and the add Azure Functions project will start the emulator automatically in run mode. I don't have to tell it. I want to run an emulator.
You should use __ instead of.
He talked about, well, yeah, that should work, by the way, Jane. Just change it to __. Yeah. The ASP.NET Core config system will map that to : when it's doing the config binding.
Because that does not work on non-Windows machines.
That's, yeah, we talked about that.
I learned that, Fowler. I learned that the hard way. So I went to go deploy, and I was like, oh, I'm going to save some money. I'm going to deploy it on Linux. And then I went to go set up environment variables, and it was like, no. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm creating a Windows machine. So now it's hosted on Windows. Because I didn't know this. Again, I'm not a web developer. I don't know what I'm doing.
It works. Okay.
So
that works.
Functions is running.
The funny part is I can't even get this running on my machine, but somehow Maddy has it like running on her machine. It does not work for me, which is great.
Because I'm magical. That's why.
You are magical.
What just happened to all my browsers? Why did you do that? Okay, I fixed it.
That's a new bingo thing. Maddy gets mad at her computer.
Oh, I should add that.
That should be any of us, actually.
But the other part, Maddy, if you want, right, is like you can change that to use true for the mock data, and then it would actually work on your machine, right?
Oh, yeah. Did I change that? I can't remember.
Change the back end to do that, though, not the front end. Let's get the front end to talk to our back end, and then change the back end to use mock data, right?
But don't do it there. Do it as an environment variable there, right?
Yeah, do it in the app host.
Yeah. I like to use app hosts as my personal README. So, okay, use mocks false in functions. Use mocks true in functions. I'm just gonna make sure it works, and then we can actually wire it up correctly. Use mocks
false.
You got James using the newest CLI. Crazy.
I just updated it. Yeah.
Oh, this is your screen.
Yeah, this is my screen.
Oh no,
that could just be a bool, right? It shouldn't be a string. Line 30.
Oh, it can.
It's JSON, so we'll map it. Famous last words.
Can this?
So Maddy's coding. Is that
right now. I shared. I just live share in the private StreamYard chat. If you want.
Maddy pulled it down and tried to run it, and then it ran.
And immediately figured out that it does not work.
So we get to show at Maddy. This is great. Okay, Maddy.
This is going to be really cathartic for you after this week. Actually,
this is gonna be good.
And we talked about earlier, David, how like I was like super excited that you were so excited about the app and that we were jamming on it. And then I immediately became extremely terrified because I was like, I have this distinguished engineer that's like using code that I vibed, that's giving me all this feedback at 2 a.m. But it was really fun. I would say it was some of the most fun.
I use this thing every day.
Yeah, you do.
Can we?
I am constantly being told how much we need to fix things based on Fowler's feedback.
Ooh, there we go. Look at this.
Did it work?
Yep.
What?
It's not talking off the box or anything. Oh, because at least the app host is launching both, and they're talking to each other.
Yeah, view the comments. See what Copilot created.
Oh, Copilot creates your mocks. That's
debug
cool.
mask. Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
What?
Does this use data?
This is
mock data
because
built in.
Fowler,
we turned on mock data, so you don't have to talk to the cloud.
Use mocks true.
Yeah, so what I did, David, is when I was developing, I didn't want to use all my precious tokens. So on the front end, I said, hey, create mock services for everything. So in the front end, I could just run just the front end, no back end, and then build all my UI with mock services. But then I was like, I'm going to come on this show. We got to make sure like the whole thing works. So I vibe coded the back end to return mock data if you set the back end. So now the front end is talking to the back end, but the back end is returning mock data to the front end. So it actually is like doing things.
That's super cool.
Thank
you.
So
we could, and I think I've said this in every single AspiriFriday right now, you could use launch profiles in the app host to have a launch profile that pre-configures to use mock data, and then another launch profile that assumes non-mock data. And you could just pick which launch profile you want when you launch the app host. Do I want mock data or do I want real data?
Yeah. Maddy, if you go into the app and you try to like share something, like if you go into that thing that it just created, and you go up top and you say share, does that work?
Nice.
No, perfect.
Baby.
Cool.
Oh,
there we go. Nice. So this means OTel's working. So that's good. Yeah. That was one of my questions.
I
assume functions of reporting OTel. So both of those resources are successfully pushing OTel to the dashboard, which is great.
Yep.
That's good.
Thank you, Functions team.
Thank you. Woo-hoo. Thank you, Functions team and Safia. We love you.
So that call should have stored that in blob storage.
Right. So this is where there's no Azure Write running right now. So this feels like the next thing to do then. Perfect.
Right.
Let's get Azure Write running.
Does it, when I run it in Aspire, do I need Azure Write, or is it?
No, it's a container. We do it as a container for you.
Because it's in the dashboard, right? It's running, right?
What is?
I don't know. Something. There's a container running, right, Maddy? Go to the dashboard.
There is a container running, but
But not where? Sorry, I missed that.
Look at this thing.
It's right there.
Funk
no, that's
storage,
the funk. That's Funk Storage. What is Funk Storage? Did you add it already? Did I just totally missed you add that?
No, I didn't add anything. It's here.
It does it automatically.
Oh, okay. Fowler,
where does it get added automatically?
Does Azure Functions add Azure Storage for you automatically because Functions requires it?
Yep.
And why is it not a child resource?
Because it's for every Azure function that you add.
Interesting.
It can be a child.
Okay.
It's not one per function.
So then how do we flow if it's not we don't have a handle to it? How do we flow?
Yeah, how do I change the name of it?
What do you want to do?
Well, I think what needs to talk to storage, James? Your functions, right?
So my function does, but my assumption is if you go to the OTel, my assumption is that the blob container is not created.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. Let me look
you
at
are
the real
in the
logs.
fun part of functions and learning stuff. No, you aren't supposed to reuse the whole storage for stuff. The whole storage is for functions.
You're not supposed to.
No. So this is what functions team kind of
this is part of their platform. They need this for their stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not supposed to reuse that because I definitely do.
No, but you don't. They do. So when you create a blob trigger in functions, and you don't give it a storage account, it will use the default storage. But the default storage is for functions like bookkeeping and stuff. So when you have triggers that need to store state in blob storage for their own bookkeeping, and they happen to let the blob trigger also piggyback on that same storage if you don't specify one. But in theory, you're supposed to specify your own storage account to use for blob.
I definitely don't do that. So that would probably be an improvement to the general flow because I've been abusing that storage for the last 15 years of my life.
Yeah.
I go, there's a storage. The storage is there. I'm gonna abuse
Hold on,
it.
Maddy. Pause. Stop. Freeze.
Oh, bingo board, baby.
Bingo. Wait. You can override the whole storage and functions. So what I recommend is start by not changing much and trying to adjust to your current model.
Yeah.
And then we can once it works, then you can change it.
Yep.
There's a with host storage.
Yep.
Where you can pass in the storage account that will override the built-in default. You have to create a storage account first, Maddy, before you pass in the host.
Yeah, so I need to do that up here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So why do we need to do anything to make this work right now? If his functions are just relying on the default stuff, why do we have to change anything to get them to work? I'm a bit lost there.
I don't know what you said. You want a handle on it to do what?
Well, I need to create the blob.
Right. That's why.
That's why. Okay.
Yeah.
Specifically because he's not programmatically creating those things. He's assuming they're just there.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, I'm not. Claude is. So
right.
What's idiomatic?
Huh?
What's idiomatic when it comes to Azure storage, creating blobs, containers, like whether you do them as part of infra or do them as part of who should bootstrap that stuff?
Unless you need a runtime built containers. If it's fixed, I would do it in infra.
Okay, so we should express all that here then in the app. Okay.
But Maddy, you're just tabbing and it's just lying to you. None of those things exist. So
it literally does.
Well, okay, so no, it doesn't.
Okay, 60 seconds. Explain what we're supposed to do. So
this is fine. You're going to add storage. You're going to add blobs. That will not create the blob container.
Mm-hmm.
So we added an API in 9.3, which is add blob.
How can you listen, Maddy, while you're just vibe coding?
The thing is, all the suggestions are always wrong.
Yeah, they're horrible, and you can't escape them.
But it's fine because I hope we all know that by now. Like they don't work for this stuff yet. This stuff is new.
All right.
Add blob container. And this will create, this is confusing because the APIs, I don't think we did a good job here.
Okay.
So this will get like redone at some point. When you call add blobs, it doesn't do anything beyond just give you a connection string for the blob.
This is the deep linking to a blob thing.
Right. The blob container will do two things. It will create a container and it will give you a reference to like the container and the storage account. So you can like connect to it. This
is the whole do you do chaining thing as well? Like because it's add, it's creating a new thing and returning that to you.
That's right.
So line 5 where you're creating blobs. Personally, I would separate all of these so I have separate variables for each of the thing rather than conflating the container with the blobs. Because you're going to need more than one container, James, or do you just use one?
No, I have multiple containers and also a table in table storage.
Okay, so we're going to just say, Maddy, what Maddy's doing now is probably what we want to do.
Okay.
So I have one the first one is called the shared analysis, but you know, these are when you did that, when you hit the share button, it called a backend, and it has a container input. So this is inside the sharing functions as a blob input, and it has the container name, and then it will create a blob with the ID that's passed in, and it's using a default connection of the Azure Web Job Storage. That's the default that it's using, at least for those connections there.
You know, in theory, this should be simple. Like in theory, right? In theory, you would just pass your own objects.
Right.
But you just name so many things. I have no idea what is supposed to map to what.
Right. So we need to,
we're going to feel horribly.
Line 7, the name is going to matter here, right? Because that name has to align with whatever his code is assuming is correct. Is that right?
Yeah. So that's my shared container.
Or are we just going to grab a connection string from this Fowler and inject it into?
That will definitely not work.
Okay.
Because you're not using, I assume you aren't using the Aspire integrations to consume the right value. So you're going to use this just to create the container, but not pass in the instance anywhere.
Okay. So the name mattered.
The name is going to be the name of the actual blob container in blob storage. So that name matters. That name has to match whatever you expect it to be.
Okay.
So that should be shared dash analysis.
Okay. You should copy it. Yeah. Okay. You can type it. I would copy it just to make sure that you don't mess it up.
But with an ES. Yeah. ANALYSES. Yeah. Perfect.
Shared analyses.
Analyses. I don't know. It wasn't my naming.
That I have to say, this is the best part about vibe coding is nothing's ever my fault anymore. It's always Copilot's fault.
It wasn't my fault.
I didn't build it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just named it that.
You're still responsible. The human's responsible. We can't blame the AI
sure,
yet.
Sure, whatever you say.
I have another container name called reports, and that one is for those are for those HTML reports.
Let's do that then.
Okay, so this is analysis container.
Yep.
Do I even need to assign these? Are we going to pass these as references, or do I just need to create them?
I think they just need to exist because we're not going to be passing them in right now.
Right, so I can delete the var.
You can just delete the variable assignment.
What the I almost swore.
You nearly did.
I'm not giving you that bingo that easy this week. Okay? I'm good. It's another blob.
James? Reports. That one's easy.
Yep.
Oh, it knows. What? How does it know? Oh, because it's in the code.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Now I have another. I have a table. I have a table though. Now it's not in your code, but it's in my code because I'm in a branch. So I would love.
Let's not try and walk. Let's just crawl. All right. Let's see if we can get the share link to work.
Yep.
Now that these should exist in the emulator, right?
Okay. Now, so yeah, the FF blobs and FF storage, those names don't matter. Those are more for references, adding references then.
Correct.
That would be for the service discovery stuff.
And the add blob container, those ones matter because those are the ones that I created. Now I'm assuming that that's what happens because normally this is what happens on my machine is like, it's like, this blob thing doesn't exist. So garbage throws it.
Oh, look. Why is it not? That seems to suggest it's trying to do it in Azure rather than using an emulator.
Because I didn't do run as emulator is why.
Oh. That's why I asked before if it was the default, but I think we were all just... Are you hitting tab like multiple times?
What are you doing? Tab like by default. It's clear.
You can turn it off if you want to.
Okay. Tell me how, James.
Because I've tried. In the bottom right. No, in the bottom right.
There's a Copilot icon.
Copilot icon, and then you can toggle off Yeah, code completions.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah,
it's just code. Yeah, it's just typical completions. But
Yeah, just
I thought that the multi-line was next edit suggestion.
No.
Nope. Next edit suggestion is where it does it somewhere else in the doc, not in where the cursor is.
Now,
Pierce, if you're still watching, this is your fault. Just for the record, with all my love.
So for both of these, Fowler and Damian and Maddy, it is using the storage connection for the Azure Web Job storage. So it's using the built-in. Is that okay?
What do you mean okay?
Well, I mean, aren't we creating a new emulate? Is it the same emulator?
We're replacing the built-in one with one that you are controlling.
Yep.
So by default, if you say nothing, we will create you a storage account.
So now the other one's gone. Now there's the one that we named. FF Storage is the one that we created, and Feedback Functions is now going to be using that.
Yeah, so this should know now that this exists. Yeah.
And you see, Damian, it became a child resource.
That's pretty. Wow. Okay.
What? No, it didn't.
Oh no, you're right. It didn't. No, that's good. That's good. It shouldn't.
Show the graph, Maddy. We haven't done a graph view. Graph view. Yeah.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah.
Ooh.
All right. Cool. All right.
Now, does this thing work then?
I don't
Let's
know.
try.
I'm terrified.
This is a share link.
Yeah, because that's when it actually talks to the store something.
That's when it actually blobs everywhere.
Joe just made a good point in the chat, Maddy, that we love Aspire Run, but if you actually launch from VS Code, you'll get GitHub in the dashboard so you can diagnose. You'll get Copilot so you can diagnose stuff. We need to update Aspire Run to support that.
I know, but that's going to be a real...
We need to finish Aspire Run first before we add more features to it.
Finish? It's never finished. You mean?
Yeah, we need to finish the features before.
Cool, it worked then. This all worked.
Yeah, so if you go to a new tab, you can paste that URL that just copied to your...
So can we explore... We don't have a Azure Storage Explorer like from the dashboard thing, do we? We have so you can.
There is none.
No. Okay. So
you can install the app. You can install.
Yeah, it's a Windows app, isn't it?
Yep.
Which is horrific. But
when you say there is none, there clearly is one because they have.
There's no browser-based app.
No, I'm saying like there is code. It's just like no one stuck it in a container or made it redistributable.
Right. Doesn't exist in real life.
Come on, people.
What's happening? What are you doing, Maddy?
That is the new launch experience for C# Dev Kit. You can still pick based on the project, or you can pick like a default startup project to launch. And so if you hit launch startup project, it'll let you pick the app host.
What I end up doing,
only new functions does not work in VS Code. There you go.
Copilot won't work, Maddy, because you're using daily builds.
No. Just go back to the command line.
Just go back to command line because you move to daily builds. Copilot doesn't light up.
Multiple things don't work,
including functions. Apparently,
functions does not work at all in VS Code. For
there you go. Then go back to Aspire Run.
And this is why I just use the command line for everything.
And you can't debug.
Yeah, like there's trade-offs.
I don't need to debug.
These are hot bits. We're using preview bits here, right? The function stuff isn't cooked.
You should also, Maddy, you should now, because you were setting your environment variables in the app settings.json, but now we should set it in here because if Damian pulls this down, it's not going to run, right?
Yep. So I could do with and password, right? With password. Well,
just the back. So you want so this is correct because we want the front end to not be using mocks.
Right.
You want the back end to be using mocks.
Right.
So you need an environment variable on the back end, which is use mocks to true.
Is it feedback API or is it something else?
No, it's just use mocks.
As a string.
Yep.
To true, yeah. Now, I really do wish, in my personal opinion, that with environment was with env var or something like that. I wish that there was a shortcut. With environment to me sounds like a hosting environment, not an environment variable.
James, you could make an extension package, which is like James cool Aspire aliases, and just create your own extension methods with the names that you like.
That's a good idea. That seems like, well, I'll have Claude do it later.
Yeah. Oh
You
god.
could even include analyzers and code fixes so that this gets marked as an error, and then you can control dot and it turns it into the good one that you like.
That's pretty funny, actually.
There should be more of that in our community. People just like to complain on Reddit. They should just ship their
Yeah.
complaints as alternate APIs with code fixes and analyzers.
Yeah.
I like it.
So Fowler, the reason I upgraded this is because there are these environment variables that you might want to toggle on and off at runtime when you dev, and all of this. And Alex was like, "Why don't we have a interaction service that could help with this?" And I was like, "If we have time, now we're set up for it."
Are you on the latest version?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
Hmm.
We could prompt, use mocks, turn it on and off.
For use mocks specifically?
Sure.
I thought
You want to try it?
I mean, we could do it for that. I thought it was for the keys for the individual functions to call the real ones was the.
We could do that too.
But that's gonna like ask you 100 questions because there's a key per.
Yeah, it could be one prompt, right? One Uber prompt.
It could and then you have to put in the key for every single one, right?
Yeah.
But even that's not going to work unless you deploy.
You don't need the keys locally. Yeah, locally.
No, but I mean to use real data. If we want this to use real data.
Oh, if you needed real data, then the only thing that you would need to do
the API keys for the services that we need.
It's the API key in the backends, correct?
Yeah.
So if you go into the local
Wait.
settings JSON,
Don't we need the keys for all the services?
That's what.
Correct.
No, hang on. We're using the same word to say different things. There is the
Use
functions
API.
backend, and then the functions backend talks to GitHub and to Reddit and to YouTube.
All the things, yeah.
Those calls to the socials, they need API keys.
Right.
Now that means that, like Maddy, if she's running locally, she has to go and sign up for
Yes.
a dev account at those things or get
Correct.
a pack for GitHub. Like we can't really do anything to automate that today.
Correct.
Like we don't have anything for that. You need to go and say, I want live GitHub analysis to work locally. I have to go get a personal access token and put that in there. So to Maddy's point, we could make that that would be something we could do as interaction, where we prompt you for those. And then I'm trying to figure out how you would do it. Like you kind of want to do it such that they're all optional. And then anyone you do put in, we save, and then that one's hooked up. And then the other ones are not. And then it uses mocks for those. But at the moment, it's just one big binary mock, all of it, right?
Oh yeah, Alex had suggested it for the default password. That was smart. That was what it was originally.
For what?
There's
What was that?
a default password for the web app that when you're developing, it's password. It's very complicated.
Make it a parameter and it'll do it for you because we
Exactly.
have password generation.
You have to set, you can set it up to do that.
So
you should probably put it in the app host because it's not visible, right? The nice thing about the app host is if Maddy came here, the first thing Maddy did when she ran the app, she said, "What's the password?" And I said, "Well, the password is inside the app settings.json.
Right.
You just have to know that it exists." So you could just put the password here and then set that on the front end.
Yeah.
How do I do
you're going to hit issues
parameter.
if you didn't put an identifier for your variable. C# doesn't recover from that very well.
I think you just do it right on the front end, Maddy. Just the other environment.
No.
He has invalid syntax, is what.
So you're going to want.
I'm sorry, I've been writing
We're going to
so
create
much
a parameter
JavaScript.
in the app host that represents the password, and we're going to let app host create a password that's different on Maddy's machine than it is on yours. There'd be no hard-coded dev password. It will be a parameter that says, what do you want the password to the front end to be? And then we'll pass that in to the front end saying, here's your password. It was generated for you. And that way you don't have to have passwords anywhere. It's just like it gets taken care of.
Oh, but then how do you know what that password is?
You don't have to.
That's the problem.
But you can look in user secrets locally to find it because we store it in user secrets for you.
I see.
Right. But then fast forward to a world where you're deploying with Aspire as well.
Yeah.
We would generate the password as part of deployment.
I see.
And then for you to discover what their password is, you'd have to go and like look in Key Vault to figure it out. But
which another
you
thing
would say when deploying prompt for the password, and then you would get to choose the production password.
Another thing too that I was thinking about for this, there's a few things I was thinking about to like make my life better is right now, like all those bearer tokens and all those things are environment variables, which seems not great. It would be better if that was like a key vault maybe where I had my Twitter bearer
token. So if you parameterize them, that gets automated. So ultimately, if you express all of those things as parameters that are secret, like Maddy's doing now, and then you flow them through the app host into the various resources, then they can become things stored in Key Vault.
Not Key Vault.
Well, we don't have. You can add a Key Vault
secret
resource, right? But we don't have the hooking, like storing stuff in as part of deployment for manual stuff today, do we?
So when you use secret true, like what Maddy has there,
yes,
and you use ACA, that will end up going to ACA's secret store.
Yes.
And then what if I put it in app service? Because this is all in app service.
They have preview support for stuff, and they're working on other stuff.
Okay, gotcha.
So if you want to put it in Key Vault and you add a Key Vault resource, we just added in the newest version. You can put parameters in Key Vault and then reference Key Vault.
Perfect.
So that works. That works in 9.4.
That's brand new.
I think that Joe probably has the best recommendation. Why not just do real authentication?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, for sure.
Well, Joe, because here's my recommendation. I'm a developer, and I like to put the hardest thing last, not the hardest thing first.
we could attempt to show the new experience.
Hang on.
If you want to try
I think we should, but I think we should get this working first. Like let's finish this thought.
Yeah.
I think it's perfectly reasonable to say we shouldn't have a hard-coded dev password that you have to go and discover.
Yep.
Let's just have the app host generate one and use that at dev time.
So you need to pass in more parameters in. That's not enough. You got to pass in all kinds of crazy things to make this work.
For what part?
To make it generate passwords for you. Like this just says
this is just the front end password. I'm saying just the front end password to start with.
But you want this to be gen, right?
Yes. So you need to pass in a parameter default.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So you got to create one.
Yep.
Yeah.
So in a line above that, you need to create a parameter default. Didn't we create an overload of add parameter that was? I thought we did.
It's not. No, we didn't make a clean one.
No, it's not off the builder. It's a parameter default dot, I think, isn't it? Or is it generated parameter or something like that? Is the API? What is it?
You wanna make new
is it generate. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Is it static or is it a factory or do you have to create it?
No, you have to create one, I think.
New it up.
From scratch, new it up.
Yeah, you gotta
new that up. Call the variable like default password. Okay. And then if you look at the arguments to generate parameter default, you can give it complexity arguments. So you can ask, like if you bring up the signature info. Oh, wait, what?
They're all properties.
Oh, they're all properties. Okay, so if you do open curly after that to do property initialization.
Just hit F12, Mike. Just hit F12 and look at the class.
Oh, yeah, hold on.
On the class, not in between the.
I know, but it should.
So like you can set all these properties to say, hey, it needs to be this long, or it needs to be like, we don't care. This is just the dev password, right? This is a front end password for now.
Yeah.
So we can just, the defaults are fine. So if we go back, and now you can pass this instance to, there should be a way, it's either like a with default on the add parameter or it's an argument of the
I think it's an argument.
It's an argument?
Oh.
Might be the semicolons on the other line is like burning my brain.
So this is an Aaron thing.
Who does that?
Aaron does it. She learned it from Aaron.
Because when he does demos,
upsetting.
You can comment out and
it's
add
not worth
lines.
I
always fix. I like hit the
That's
format
fair.
after I hit the format and I fix it all.
Format
but when
never
I'm like
moves
editing
it
the app
from a
host, I
line.
started to
No,
do
it doesn't.
Format can't fix that.
doesn't move it.
What am I putting here?
You need to bring up the signature help. Like you're not going to be able to figure this out from. Yeah, there you go. So look at the overloads.
Down some more.
Public
Down some
value.
more.
What's the second one?
Parameter default.
There
Yep.
it is.
Second argument.
The second argument.
That's the third argument.
Yep, you're right.
we should.
I name it?
Live share.
Can I name it?
I feel bad for you, man. I feel bad for you.
Live share is on.
Just type default PW, comma.
But is
Done.
it? Did you put it in the thing? Or
What?
is it in live stream?
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
in the
No, it's
chat,
in the
bro.
AspiriFridays chat.
I'll try to help you.
All right. So in theory, now you need to
Why
pass.
is this not a this flag?
What? What's wrong?
Oh, I see.
Those are
I see.
optional parameters. Yeah.
I see. Yeah. Yep.
All right. It's the zero index second argument. Thanks, Alex. It's so funny. Like, we haven't come up with a good, succinct language for instructing someone else over a live stream what to type. Like it's actually very funny watching us all try to explain to each other what we want them to type because everyone does it differently.
Would you probably also want to persist that then too? So like if I'm doing multiple runs, the password
it does it automatically. It goes into user secrets automatically. So generate a parameter default when you're doing local dev. It will, once it generates a default, it will put it in user secrets. So the next time around, it gets loaded into config, and then parameters load their values from config.
Okay.
So now you front end password, Maddy, you have a handle on that variable name. You can use that to set an environment variable on the front end app, which is where that password environment variable was being set, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, you know, the other thing that this app does that actually has an integration is the Azure OpenAI. So right now I just pass in like URLs and stuff like that. So that probably is something that could improve in the future too.
Once we've got it talking to something real, right?
Yeah, correct.
Like app access password.
Yeah. For example, like what you could end up doing is say, oh, use mock data in the back, and then like use, do another parameter, so like use real Azure OpenAI, and then it would actually call Azure OpenAI to test it with different things.
So that's it. So right, you do that.
It's a fake analysis. Is that what happens?
Yeah, right now, because see on the with environment use mocks true.
Yeah.
Up there, the front end is saying use mocks false, which is saying call the real back end, and then the back end is saying I will return you dummy data
for all services.
So
every service.
I see.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this
Can
is
I delete this now?
It'll override it. Doesn't matter.
It will override it. Okay.
Just override it, right? Because environment variables win over settings files. And so if you run this now, the password will be whatever was put in user secrets.
What the heck is this?
And will that show up in the dashboard?
That's what I was wondering. I'm not sure. Do we show parameter values in the dashboard? We do, don't we? If you look in the details, you can say show me the value with the whole like big.
If you're on line 4, maybe we could show the new feature that maybe might work.
Let's just run it and see what happens. If not, you open your user secrets file and you find it there.
Which is there's a new feature in VS Code to show user secrets. There you go.
Actually, you can can see it because we're passing it into the front end, so you can just look at its environment variables. Like,
but let's see if we can show the new features first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So in the upper right hand corner,
the parameters aren't shown.
Upper right hand corner,
they're hidden.
Upper right hand corner, there should be a show hidden resources.
Yep. No,
that's two upper right.
The other settings.
The other one to the right, the configuration.
Password.
Just click one.
Do something.
No. He wants you to show the settings for the Wait, what am I looking at? Oh, did it just lag? Sorry, I didn't see anything being shared for like 5 seconds.
Oh, that's
click on the scroll to the top of this, and then click on that. What's that thing called? The show details properties. Like
this?
No, at the very top next to view console logs. Yeah, click on that.
Show all.
Does it show the value?
It doesn't look like it.
Where's the value? Oh, we didn't put the value in there. I thought we did.
We don't put the value in there.
Oh, because it's secret. That's why.
No, but it should be available. You should be able to then. It should just be
because I need to copy paste it into the front end.
No, you've got it. You can get it from the environment variable, but like it is odd that we don't show it here.
I thought we did.
Because it should just be shown here and marked as a secret. It would render as dots, and then you can click the button to reveal it.
Right.
But yeah, because I think from like a developer's perspective, Damian pulls this down, he runs it, let's ask him for a password. It's like, where do I get that from?
The password will be in the environment variable here.
Right.
So it's passed in. You can use the filter, Maddy. Just type. You don't have to search for it.
That's not as fun.
Oh, okay.
Scrolling on screen.
There it is.
Nope. Why is it empty?
Boys?
Nailed it.
Is it not generating a password?
Does this feature even work?
It's supposed to.
Is it not generating a password? Is that why it's not showing us anything here?
Oh god, that's funny.
No. I mean, it should show an empty value. I would have thought at that point. Why did it not use the value?
Maybe you have to pass in a min value because maybe by default is 0 min length.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I'm guessing.
That seems.
If you want, I guess it would come from the configuration. Yeah.
Wait, it is. I thought we had a default that was like reasonable. Okay, just set some stuff then. Set the min length to like 8 or something. No, it's a property. So just delete the parentheses and change to curly. Yep.
Oh, I didn't know you could delete the.
Yeah, you don't need them.
It's a style thing.
Now let's try it.
My goodness.
Now the thing is though, if it generated an empty one and stuck it in your user secrets, it's not going to use it. It's not going to generate it again. You'll have to delete it.
You check for no empty.
You'll have to. If there's a value, there's a value, right? Like if there's an entry, I don't know.
How do I copy this? No.
Hold on. I just realized something. This isn't gonna work. This isn't even the right user secrets one, right? Don't we have a second type that's like user secrets parameter default thing?
No.
You sure?
I mean, I wrote that code, but
I know that's what I'm asking.
So if I'm wrong, it'll just show that my memory's terrible. I'm not sure we show the value there at all, Maddy. Just bring up
crazy. What are we doing?
Oh, front end.
Crazy.
Front end. Yeah.
You can look at the front end environment variable. Oh, you stopped.
That reminds me to do this. What do you mean? Where do I do with lifetime on this?
Because it's a callback inside one as emulator, because the resource is not a container, the emulator is a container.
Do I do this thing?
Configure container. Yep. But you'll be past the container, so you need to declare a variable, a parameter in your Lambda.
Yeah. So
C. Context.
I don't know. I don't like to go.
That's good. It's your name. Everything's valid.
Yeah, I'm 1,000% sure this will not work. Okay, so let me actually make this work. Hold on. I knew you guys were just making stuff up. Sorry, Damian. you forgot how this works.
Probably. How many times
I was okay hard coding
how parameters work.
I was okay hard coding password, by the way.
Never.
We didn't make this like nice. I think.
No, parameters are still kind of ugly when you start doing this kind of stuff.
They're actually a bug to make this not be terrible.
Oh, I knew there was a factory method. I knew there was a factory method somewhere.
And it still takes a generate default. It's like,
wait, why is it on a type called parameter resource builder extensions? This is not designed for use by end users.
Don't blame people for like.
I remember this now.
Bad things.
I remember this now. We use this internally.
See, Maddy, I don't put semicolons in the wrong place.
I do it until I'm done editing the app host, and then I clean it all up.
I would never. This is not cleaned up. Edit.
Beautiful.
Is it fixed? Called it front end password. Can I even use refactoring on?
No,
it works. It works.
Oh, you did?
Look at that. If I did this,
I think
we can't see it though.
Well, you can't
show it on
we
yours,
can't see your
and then
pop-up.
it shows the edit.
Let's see.
Because it's not remote.
Does that work?
That worked. Yeah,
that worked. Okay, that should work now.
Okay.
Just delete this.
God, that's ugly.
It is.
Who made these APIs? I won't blame them.
You can't even call add parameter. You have to call add resource and pass it in as a raw resource.
That's so stupid. Fix that.
We just need an overload of add parameter that does all this stuff.
Somebody filed a bug on that like last
a million years
Somebody
ago.
did file a bug?
No, 2 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
That's a bingo square, bro. Hit a
Don't
bug we already filed.
Assign a co-pilot.
Nice. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
So someone's suggesting there needs to be a new bingo entry. Fowler throws shade.
That would just be a full bingo card every week.
I had Fowler crashes out back from last week, from when you crashed out last week about God knows what. But then I was like, he's not going to be here today, so I took it off for this week.
Oh God.
Okay.
All right, so let's do this. So now I'm gonna guess. So the password's shown. Still says unknown because we haven't updated parameters to like have a decent state. They have no state, and so they just show as unknown, which is kind of horrible.
Instead of like static or something. Yeah,
or like ready or something, right?
We literally don't put it in there.
We don't. That's a bug. We should definitely put the value.
Pilot.
So, but anyway, you can get it from the environment variable of the front end because we're passing it in. So, find the password. Look at the value.
Nice.
Oh, look at value.
Hey.
Copy. Oh, there's a button for that. You can hit the little magnifying glass and then hit copy. I think. Then we.
Why would I hit 2 clicks instead of just?
Because then you have to sit there and drag it.
You're
James
crazy.
Newton King on that to add another button.
Yeah, we need the copy
crazy,
button,
bro.
Well, so here's the
I guess
thing.
I don't need to put it in, but if I do like a
so F12,
Oh yeah, sorry.
It's probably in a cookie or something, right?
Yeah, go into your
application
your local
cookies.
Yeah, application cookie. Nope.
Wait,
application.
Why is this so little?
Application. Go into your local storage. You guys are gonna love it. No, local storage.
Local storage.
First one.
Come on.
Drive it down. Yep. See,
authenticated. I love it.
Wait, it's in local storage. I thought it was a cookie.
It's not even a cookie. Hang
this
on.
Is my James. I won't judge you.
How do you even? So is this front end auth?
Yep.
Oh.
Okay. What?
So for real though, when the auth screen comes up, that does send back to the front end.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you just persist a local storage, and then you have like JavaScript interop that sets this from the back end when it's correct. That says
that is correct. That is correct.
Oh my lord, this is epic. Okay.
And all the IndexedDB stuff is the same as well. It's JavaScript.
That's fine though. IndexedDB, you're just storing like personal. That's fine. The auth stuff is that's interesting.
I just have a key that says, "Are you authenticated?" And the answer is yes.
Right.
No.
So now we shove the password.
It's not. And I don't save the password obviously, but now you've authed correctly.
Love it.
Yes. It's the most insecure. Well, here's the thing: is I am okay if people use it. I just don't want to make it blatantly easy for people to get access to it to burn through my tokens.
Yeah.
In general. Although I will get there at some point once I add actual auth stuff and real accounts and things. Like
maybe you need to add support for people bringing their own tokens as a thing as well.
That'd be cool.
You can come in and in your profile just say use my tokens, and then you don't have to think about hosting.
Yeah, then it doesn't have to be password protected because you're afraid of it.
Yeah, then it's just bring your own tokens, and then it would only light up for the services that you've put tokens into.
That'd be cool.
That would be kind of nice.
That would be super nice, actually. Yeah, like it's most of the stuff is actually completely fine. It's really actually just the Twitter. Twitter is like it's so expensive. And
sorry, what's Twitter?
Twitter X. See, Twitter X. Twitter X.
Okay, I just have to highlight the incredible comeback that OmniDeath just shared in the chat. That's epic. I was trying to do a real service discovery, and he replies, like with your FNIs. My service discovery is looking at the URL and typing it in. I love it.
It's because he was wondering if we had figured out if we had done Damian and Maddy disagreement on how to do something yet.
But
and
I just love that people in the chat
have
gotten the vibe of this show. All right, this is good. This is good. We got it working. This is good. We demonstrated something new.
So if you turn off use mocks,
yes,
it won't blow up preemptively. It'll blow up when you
try to analyze something, right?
Yep, that's correct.
There's two things. It can't access the socials, and of course, it can't access Azure OpenAI.
That is correct.
So we need to get both of those working. I think to call this show finished.
We need to get both of those and what else?
You have to authenticate with GitHub. Like if you're going to get a GitHub comment, authenticate with Reddit or authenticate with YouTube.
Right now, out of the box, Hacker News and Dev Blogs would work because there's no authentication needed for those at all. Technically.
Okay.
I think we should do something really stupid.
Okay. Go for it.
Show the interaction service that Maddy wants to show.
Yeah, to prompt for a key, right?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. From scratch.
I have a crazy question about it. Can we do it so that in the dashboard there's a command that says switch to using real data, and I do it that way?
Well,
because then it would have to restart the service.
You probably can because you can force a restart.
You could because it could stop the service.
You can force a restart.
Mutate the. Oh my god.
Are we gonna try that?
Yeah.
So you want to add a command?
You need to do it live?
Yeah. So you want a command that does what?
So a command that you can invoke on. Well, we have to pick the right resource. Probably the back
function. The function.
And you change from mock data to non-mock data.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which means that if you're changing to non-mock data, it has to check whether you have environment variables set for that for the keys, and if not, it needs to prompt for them. Yeah.
Yeah, and at a minimum here, you would want it to at least prompt for Azure OpenAI. Now that being said, we could introduce a new variable, which is if we wanted to. Depends how far down the rabbit hole you want to get.
Behind the brushstrokes, right? Yeah.
Yeah. We could, for example, have a new environment variable. It's like use fake AI service, use mock AI. and then that looks at a different environment variable and then returns the mock back, right? So that way we could actually implement this thing without having to create any API tokens, because we could go to the dev logs and then grab a URL, and it would actually grab the real thing if use mocks was off.
Maddy, do you have keys? Any keys? Right
I can create them off screen while you type.
I got keys. I can put them in.
Keys, James?
Damian, can you answer this question for the stream, please? Do you use Fowler as your personal co-pilot?
We both do. I think we use it for each other depending on what it is we need information about.
But for example, Maddy could test Hacker News today without any keys.
Sure.
Yeah. So we just need to get Azure OpenAI working then, which means that it needs to prompt. So
no, we want to actually prompt for a key.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Be entered and then restart.
Yes.
Right.
I see.
So let's
and then the secret store and then restart. Yeah.
Yeah. So
for Azure OpenAI, do you have?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have to do the provisioning. I'm talking about like, do you have one pre?
Do you have a key ready for?
Let me look in my sub. Hold on.
I got one cooked.
Perfect.
But you'll need a URL too for a specific deployed model, right?
Yeah, so you'll need to have
I'm sure I have one.
Well,
I mean, or James can just share his with you and behind the scenes.
Yeah. So you need three. You need endpoint, API key, and deployment.
And just so you know, like this is built in to use proper auth with Aspire, but we're just going to show you a different feature where we're going to just use external keys.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Fowler, you got to take the keyboard on this one.
I am.
Yeah, I'll make. Just tell me what I need to do on the side. Let me follow you, my friend.
We're just gonna try doing something. Soup. This is gonna be tough. So like with command.
Yeah.
There's a new command options one because this has a like 20 overloads.
There's 9.4.
Yeah.
We added a bunch of overloads in 9.2, I think actually.
Did you update 9.4? Is everything 9.4? You did.
Everything's 9.4 at the moment.
It's whatever the latest nightly is. So
API keys. Enter API keys command. Wait.
I think it would be like turn or use real, right?
You guys want to PM me on the spot?
It's fine. Let's just like we can.
Sorry.
Hey, no judgment.
Fast forward.
No judgment. No judgment.
We'll just explain what's going on. So what we're trying to do here is add a custom command, which is basically code that lives in the app host itself. So it only runs during dev. That will allow the user on the dashboard to pick something from a menu. That's what a custom command is. So on the resource, you can fly out a menu, the command will be listed, and then when you invoke the command, before 9.4, that just runs your code. What's new in 9.4 is there's a new service called the interaction service that your command can get a hand on and then ask questions of the user. And we will dynamically render a form in the dashboard, or if this happens in the CLI, there isn't command invocation in the CLI yet, but one day there will be. We render the form and ask the question of the user, so you can now accept input from custom commands. That's the whole big new feature that we're talking about here that just landed a couple of days ago in the dailies. So Fowler's going to code a custom command that shows in the dashboard that when you invoke, it prompts with a form asking for data. Now, the data we need here to talk to Azure OpenAI is, according to Bruno in the chat, we need an endpoint, which is a URL. We need an API key, which is the auth, and we need a model name so that it can pass that as part of the call, saying, yes, here's my API endpoint, here's my key, and here's the model I want to use.
Maddy, can you... That's awesome explanation.
Thank you.
Maddy, can you change the tab sizing to 4?
Yes, I can. It's driving me nuts. I don't know why.
Command palette.
Command palette, you're right.
Tabs. Yep. I'm like, why is it 8? It's killing me.
Yeah, I don't know why it's 8.
Why is it 8? That seems terrible.
I don't know. It's like,
why didn't it change anything?
Is that a live share thing?
Probably like live share now.
Yeah.
Wait, can I do it?
In the profile.
Maybe it's yours.
Maybe yours got it
on both sides. Perfect.
Good. There you go.
So,
what size do you want? Oh, what model do you want, James? I'm deploying one.
You do 4.1 nano.
Nano.
Yeah, it's really cheap.
Conform. I mean, I'm going to tear this down immediately after. This is so that when I inevitably accidentally copy paste my screen on.
It'll cost you pennies. So I'm all about that nano and nano life. It's so good. Woo. Now that you're so now you're guys are speaking my language because I'm a GUI guy, as we've deferred earlier. So if we're creating GUIs all of a sudden, then that's my jam.
Yeah.
Now, you can even, if I recall, you can do custom HTML, can't you? Didn't James make that work in the dashboard? I have no idea how that's supposed to work in the CLI, but
we're gonna parse and render in real time.
Convert to Markdown and then render with like Spectre console Markdown. We'll do like some transform.
Can you control dot on that thing and hit suppress warning?
On this?
It can't do it over the interwebs. Yep. The first one is fine. In source,
Suppress. Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And then I'll just disable it for the whole file. This is an experimental feature because we do this now super often.
Yeah. This is how we bring the awesome quicker. We're not too sure that it's fully baked.
Title, enter API keys, and then message. This is like the actual stuff.
Yep.
Like,
isn't this one of these methods that has 400 string parameters?
Maybe.
That really should just be
definitely possible.
Oh, yep.
Inputs, options. Sure. Who needs?
So the interesting part for people watching, like why this is kind of cool, is because what I have in my README is, hey, go create all these keys and go do all this stuff, and then go set up a secret environment, copy the secret environment file with this very specific names that I've set up to do this. Now you can do it for you. I can do it. It'll be done for you basically automatically. So it's cool from a developer's perspective is that you no longer need to like go set up some crazy file with certain names that I set up magically for local development. And you can toggle it on if you want to, basically.
Yeah, and so we're showing it as a command here, so that means the user has to invoke it through the dashboard. The interaction service, though, can be used from anywhere. Like you can, in theory, use it from startup code. So you could actually add a some code that subscribes to an event in the app host. We have eventing in the app host, and you could subscribe to I think there's an event that represents a point in time that's late enough in the life cycle, but early enough before stuff starts. You could have the dashboard prompt before anything starts for information, or just before this specific resource starts.
So we could do that on the front end and say, do you want to use fake data? Like,
right. Yeah. So you could have it when it first boots. Do you want to use fake data? And then you could store that data. The answers get stored. Where do the answers? Did they go to user secrets by default? Well, or do you have to do that yourself? I can't.
Do yourself.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, it doesn't save it to user secrets?
No.
It did.
Where would it?
I thought there was something.
So it's going to ask me every time I F5 to put my key back in?
Write code.
You have to write code to store it. So the other thing you can do with the command is you can give us a delegate that says whether the command is enabled or not. So you can have it so that if the data is already there, the command's not enabled.
Exactly.
Although in this case, you might want to change the keys. And so you probably want it available all the time. But you can have commands that only light up when certain conditions are true. And those conditions are evaluated effectively in real time. Basically, any time any notification is published, anytime a resource gets updated in any way with our real-time notification system, the command, the command's availability is recalculated. And so if you ever looked at the dashboard, it's a real-time UI, right? Things are changing all the time. So coding against the data flow behind that can be a little daunting if you haven't worked with real-time systems before. But modern C# gives us a lot of really nice primitives to make it a lot easier than it used to be. Like the fact we have async await, we have async for each, so you can kind of consume a forever data stream asynchronously with sequential looking code makes doing this type of coding much easier than it used to be. And so you can see what Fowler's writing here. He's literally on line. My stream is so bad I can't even read the line numbers. Like they're so garbled.
Yeah.
It's so I don't
know.
Yeah. I said they just got clearer. It's the compression. So he had a line, you scrolled it out of view, where he's calling await prompt effectively. So here, line 37.
Yep.
So that is going to asynchronously block. It's going to wait on that line while the UI is being shown to the user until they hit OK. And then your code will continue, which is kind of cool.
So would you want to have another one in here that's like for the use mocks, like a command like toggle mocks, basically that like
you could.
turn. Then what could I say use mocks, and then that would only be if like it's false, and then if it's true already, it doesn't say turn off mocks or whatever, right?
Yep.
And
so you could have like a toggle mocks command, and that one may not even have to prompt, right? Because it is just a bool. It's like it just toggles the current state. Like,
but could you have basically two commands, but only one's visible based on the?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
No. What?
You can. Yes.
Not
visible, enabled or disabled, based on data.
Oh, enabled or disabled. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Yes. You can't build dependent form. We don't have like dependent interactions in the form or anything.
But you can have commands whose availability is based on the output of each other.
Yes.
So that makes sense, right? It's just like an information flow, depending on where you store the data. It's up to you to decide where that data goes, because you own the delegate on both sides.
Like right now, there's probably like is enabled, but you could also say like is visible, right? And then if you could show it or hide it based on if just like hidden or not. So that way you could have two. So that could be something that James could have.
The thing we don't have kind of there's no real data storage API that's built in, and so typically I think what Fowler's going to have to do here is use.
I'm doing crazy stuff.
Annotations.
I'm just
on the resource itself. Really what are you doing?
It's going to be gross. I mean, let's make sure it works first.
Okay, so you just want to get the UI to show first.
Yeah.
Yep.
Show the UI.
Steps. But to make this work, he's going to have to actually mutate the configuration of the resource as a result of running this command. And that's something that we don't have first-class stuff for. Yeah. You have to reach into the resource, find the annotations you want to update, change them, and then restart the resource, and then it'll pick up.
Yeah.
It
would be nice on the prompt to be able to say like save to secrets. Like that would be nice.
As a primitive, you mean? Like a thing. Yeah.
We should do
that.
you
could do it per, I think it would be on per data, right? So when he wrote the lines, ask this, it'd be nice. I think you're right. It'd be nice if you could just like per thing say, just keep this in user secrets.
Okay. You didn't give it an icon, Fowler. Wow. All right. Enter API keys.
Yeah. Look at that.
All right. Let me put it in.
So
did you set them as passwords so they don't show as you type them?
Yeah. Type it in.
Good. Look at that.
That's the key. Is it the target URI or the endpoint that I need?
The endpoint.
The endpoint is not a secret. I can make that one like a normal one.
Yeah, the model and the secret aren't. The model and the endpoint aren't secrets, correct? Yeah.
Do we have like a list of models?
Yeah, we do have a list of models. Yeah.
So I can show off the drop down list.
Yeah, and then you could also like.
You're gonna do it in the code? Is that what you're doing?
Tell me the list of options.
So
I can show up new syntax.
I have to go to the bathroom. Give me 2 seconds. I almost made it.
So you could do just like GPT colon 4.1 and then GPT 4.1 / nano dash mini. You can start with those 3, for example.
So this is display name. Display is going to be GPT 4.1, and then this is is this the name of the model?
That's the name of the model, yeah.
Okay, and then the other ones are just 4.1
dash nano dash mini, yeah.
Mini Namo.
I'm sure there's others, but we can at least start there. Can they still override it, or they can only pick from the list?
They can only pick this, so you can add a text field that's like other. I can say other here, and then you can do.
Yeah, you can't make them dependent though, right? You can't make one.
Not yet.
Not yet. We don't have
okay
cascading UI.
Don't worry,
yeah, but you could then just do another, like you could then do this, right? And then
and if that one is it has anything in it, you use it. Otherwise, you use whatever was selected. Oh yeah, if they select other, yeah.
So that could be nice because models can kind of like come up whenever, right? And then you can say.
This could even like do a query. This could query like a feed somewhere.
Yeah.
And then you can put the values from that in here, right?
It's just code. This is the advantage of us really adopting a code first mentality to Aspire, rather than this being some markdown file for your UI or an HTML file or XAML or whatever it might be, right? Like this is not declarative. Like you just write code. and then we can improve this API over time, and it's all async, so you can do whatever you like in here. And the part of the dashboard that reads the interaction service queue and shows UI is something you don't have to worry about. So any amount of things in the app host can be asking for questions at the same time concurrently, and then the dashboard will take care of showing them in the order that they're coming off the queue, and popping it whenever someone asks for something. So the current stuff we have in 9.4 is like the worst it will ever be, right? Like, so the fact that this is working at all is kind of great, but we're fully aware that this doesn't scale perfectly right now. If you have 100 things asked for questions, you'll just get stuck with it going, oh, here's the next question, here's the next question, here's the next question. And so we have plans to improve this so that, for example, this could be asynchronously docked. So something could ask for a question, and rather than being modal, you get an alert, and then you have to click on it in like some alert stream in the dashboard, very similar to the Azure portal. And then you could click on it, answer the question, and then just ignore the other ones for now, right? So like people can kind of imagine how this will improve as we scale it.
So here, am I doing this correct? I've just written code in the bottom. Like, does this seem like what we would actually do? And then you would like restart the function?
No. So this is where it gets like super.
This is where it gets, yeah.
So what you really want to do is to make it read new information, you need to essentially restart this resource, right? Mm-hmm. So this is essentially a surrogate for change config and then restart myself.
Yeah.
But then what you really want is these values need to be captured somewhere and then like restored before this thing starts up. So these variables, let's make them like global, because
you move them up. Yeah.
And then these just get like these are all strings, whatever.
I mean, at this point, I think it's worth saying there's like 100 ways you could do this. There's not a defined way right now, and so we're just going to use closures. I think
that's good, because that's also on the bingo board.
What's that?
You can do this a few ways. Is on the bingo board.
Oh, there you go.
Hold on. Let me. Do we flex and show these features?
Because my intuition was to use annotations to store data. We don't have a general annotation of like data storage, but you could. It'd be very easy to make one, and then you could just push them into resources. But
you can get.
We don't have a great API today for getting the nice resource builder stuff when you're out of the builder. Although you can kind of do it if you have a handle on the application builder, but doing that after the app has started is kind of an anti-pattern. And so. And if I've lost you, like that's fine. Like it's just we have the app host in Aspire is like ASP.NET Core and other hosted stuff in .NET, where you have a builder phase and you set stuff up and then you build the app and then you run the app. So this code right now that we're running is going to run after the app has been built and started running. So going back and trying to change stuff that you typically do in the builder phase is kind of a no-no, right? You don't get the builder APIs once you're running. And so in order to store stuff in the app after it starts running, you can do that. We just don't have great APIs for it right now. Like you can get the resource, you can grab the annotations, which is basically just a collection of objects. And then you could start reading from those or pushing data in and mutate them and then restart it. And then the next restart, it will read stuff from the annotations. We just don't have first-class APIs for making that nice like it is during the builder phase.
What are you doing, James? Are you adding code to be defensive? Delete your code.
No. So see here. So like
use Mox faults, right?
Yeah, exactly. So like that. So I mean, you would probably want to be like,
why does it keep
this? Like, hey, if you set one of these, if this is string or like the opposite.
Yep.
If it is null or white space, then use Mox. Else
you can change this.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't know about this. This is actually like way better because now I actually understand like, oh, these are the environment variables, right? Yep. So that's cool. I think that simplifies, and then you can put logic in it, which is actually really nice.
Yeah,
so.
You can put crazy code in there.
Yeah,
that maybe you shouldn't.
Yeah,
this would be a local instead of being a global choice, and then we set the final model to this thing.
Where are you?
So this should be it. It's almost it. So we are not going to run. We're gonna assume this will work. This is a new feature. What do we call this thing?
Yeah, this is new in 9.4 as well.
It's called resource command service RCS. There you go.
Remote code no, not RCE, RCS.
Execute command async, and you can execute the command. What's it called?
What have you called it?
On this resource, which is
the start stop.
Can we even get this resource from here?
Isn't there a known commands name thing? No.
Huh?
Is this you're going to execute restart?
Is it resource name? I think it supports either resource name.
Or the resource.
Good.
Itself.
Command.
Yeah, I bet if my code was better, what I could do is it should just check to see if you have anything set, and for the endpoints. And if you do have something set for the endpoints, then that's what it should do, actually. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I vibe coded and I said just do generic, but now I can be a lot more defensive and say, if you set an API key, use the real thing. So I'll vibe that out, which makes this way better. Because then it will use the mocks if you don't have an API key. If you have an API key, then you can pragmatically set one or another, which is super cool.
Yep.
I will do that, and that will be a very nice addition to this. Because I want to make it so easy that anyone can pull it down and
just
try it out, right?
Yeah. Proper Aspirification.
Because I was talking to Glenn, and Glenn's like, I can't run. He's like, she's like, everything's wrong, and I was like, I know. I said, I know. I said, that's why. So literally after the talk with Glenn that we did in Spain last week, I was like, I need to get on this show because I'm doing everything wrong.
Yeah.
100% you are. Don't worry. Everyone is.
Fowler, do we not have a known command names type?
I don't know. I don't think we
like we do for like a lot of other stuff. I would have thought resource - restart would have been a known.
Yeah, known name,
All right, we should just file a bug for that.
I think we fixed at least 6 bugs so far from this stuff. Why won't Copilot help me? I don't want to take this stuff.
I think because you're in a VS Code.dev, not a code space.
Am I? Key model blah.
Yeah.
What were the bugs we just said we wanted to file besides the
create a known command names?
Yeah. There was another one though. Oh wait, Alex is filing bugs. Maybe this is him doing it for us. Oh no.
Yeah, and what John said is definitely worthwhile. James, I was going to say the same. Just make the UI clearly label when it's using mock data, so that you can start out and as you add stuff, you can easily see if it's real or not.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. And because how this is configured today. Also, I'll show you something I'm doing like terribly wrong once we're done with this.
You sure? You sure you want to show that?
It's pretty.
I guess this wants to be something.
Yeah, it needs to be.
Oh,
wait until you see my program.cs.
Alex tagged me in an issue. He fixed the issue. He just put up a PO.
Nice.
That's better than Copilot.
Okay,
I love this.
Why won't you be quiet? Why won't you shut up?
Set to default state and makes it visible on the dashboard. Uses running as it's an improvement on unknown.
There's a bug about that. How we want to have a thing that's not running that is for inert things that don't run. I think we want it to stay active versus running.
Like I don't know, static.
Active or ready, or I don't know. It's hard to know what the right
ready, active.
Yeah.
All right, we got it. Whenever this resource starts, it should call with the environment. It should reevaluate this function, and it should read whatever the current state of these values are. That's how it works.
Okay, show me that function again. Sorry.
So we're literally using a closure as our data storage.
I see. Okay.
Yep.
Maddy,
beautiful.
Okay, so is it on screen? And then the command just says, get these 2 services, prompt for inputs, get all the values. Do we have the 4th value? We have the model. We do. Get the values, set the global state, and then restart that resource.
To do one thing for me, Maddy.
Yeah.
In the function, go to the program.cs. And so see what's happening here is I have this like if debug get config. So go to that get config. It's in the very bottom of this file.
Control clicked.
So because I don't understand how anything works, what I've done here is I didn't know how to like get my user secrets and my JSON file. So like when I'm in debug mode, I say combine the JSON file and my user secrets together.
Mm-hmm.
And then use that as the configuration builder. So the question I have now is like, did all the work that David just do to put here, like, is it still gonna? I guess it'll still be a user secret, so it will.
It's not going to overwrite anything you've got here. It's just
Hold on. Was it? But we're not in debug. Are we in debug mode?
Of course we are. We're in debug.
Did you delete your configuration?
No, he vibe coded the whole thing, so there is no app setting.
There's no environment variables. Like, where's that? Where's that call?
Right. But hang on, how is he consuming that? Go back to the use config. He's just returning an I configuration. Then what is he doing with it? So
That's
where's the call to that, Maddie? Go back to the call to get config.
We got the error code, James. I'm sorry.
Hang on.
We got to start over.
There's C, and then what is he doing? That's all it does. It's just reading. What else do you do with C?
And then no, I get the use mock, so I get that value out of it, right? Yeah. They scroll down.
Okay.
And then so this is fine for use mocks, but then I also get configuration for every single scope service.
But that's not from C. That's from configuration.
Yeah.
From builder.
Oh, you're calling it over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's correct.
Oh, okay.
This
won't work. So what you've created an alternate configuration universe rather than manipulating the config that your host is using. You've just created a whole other configuration instance, and then you're manually pulling values from it, which means nothing that cascades through the host is going to work because your code never reads it.
Yeah, but we could fix that.
Yes.
So what I did was I was like, well, I have like secret environment variables and my local JSON. I want to like merge these things, and they weren't coming in through the function because it's local settings JSON, not like app settings JSON.
Is local settings JSON something you created, or is that something Functions?
Functions creates that.
You should have been using it for your own runtime config. There you go.
Exactly.
Hold it over the stream.
But we don't need to. I'm actually not using it at all. Like I mean, I am, but I'm not, because like I have secret environment variables, and that's what at the very bottom it's doing. Like scroll to the very bottom.
Sorry.
Of this file.
Yeah.
Right. So like what I'm doing is I'm saying get user secrets of the program. So like I have a bunch of settings. Safia is correct. I'm doing everything correct.
You shouldn't. So you're not reading anything from local settings.json at all.
Yes, I am.
Oh,
if you're not setting user secrets, so you
are using local settings.json for some
absolutely. That is absolutely correct.
I don't understand why you had to do any of this and why you couldn't just put stuff.
I was thinking the same.
It wasn't James. It was Claude.
Well, where do I put the environment variables in an Azure function?
So the Azure function part is the bit I don't know. I assume that their host using our hosting APIs, and it has the same defaults in terms of where it reads from.
I guess if we just created an app settings.json, then it would read that.
Well, the fact it's not there makes me wonder whether they do that or not. Fowler, do you know? Like, what does the functions host do in terms of config? You're muted.
I said I have no idea.
Oh.
But I think it does the right thing.
Okay, then we should. Yeah. So Safia is saying it should.
Yeah.
You should. You can just have an app settings dot.
Okay. Yeah, and then we can try to get rid of my terrible.
We could try deleting that thing completely, right?
Yeah. So like if you went into now the local host, the settings, that you can move those.
But you don't have to change this.
That is correct. You could just leave them there.
Yeah.
Just nothing will ever read them. Yeah.
We just have to change how you get configuration, right? And just let that.
So well, what I'm saying is like, copy this.
No. All we care about is consumption, not about like where your thing is stored, because we don't care about these values. All we care about is that we're gonna have you read the right keys, and we're gonna set the right keys in the app host. That's all that matters.
Oh, I see. So
what about when he deploys them?
Oh, that doesn't matter because I'll set them on the environment variable.
That's true. That's a good point.
So I think basically go back into like my program.cs. And then I think down here, just like delete that code.
You don't need any of this get config at all.
I don't need any of it.
You should just be using builder.configuration or app.configuration everywhere.
So you're telling me delete
that whole method. No.
Okay, hold on. Wait. Bingo card. Wait.
Yeah, I think my failure is when you create the function, Safia, is that it doesn't give you an app.settings.json, which is why I got confused because there's a local settings.json, which actually is in the git ignore that it gives you. So you don't check it in the source code. But then I was like, no, I need to put it in the source code because if you don't have that file, it can't run the function.
Yeah, that's okay.
So what I would do instead is, I think builders and scope, I would just do this.
Yeah, that's the cheapest change to make right now without having to delete.
Oh, that's a good idea.
This and just comment on everything else.
Yeah,
beautiful. Okay. This is me hacking a lot on it in general.
This is so normal, James. Like,
yeah, this is
what happens is
really normal.
A thing doesn't work, and then you rabbit hole, and then you find it working, and then you just leave it.
Yep. Yeah. So this is a lot cleaner. So before, in every single function, I was creating the services and stuff like that. Yeah. And then it was doing that if def every single time over and over and over again in every file. So then Claude cleaned it up this week. So
did it? Are you sure?
Yeah. No, I mean, so that pound if debug, I wrote that code. So that was
human
me.
problem.
That's a me problem. Yes.
So we need to print something to the console, so we know we're in like not use mocks mode or use mocks mode to help us like debug.
Yep.
Right.
So we could print something in that top level if statement.
Like up here, right?
And then use mocks.
Yeah.
Not there in the if.
And in this if?
Right down.
Do you like my in production? Don't use mocks.
Oh. In production, don't use.
Because one time I accidentally like checked code in, and I accidentally had mocks on in production, and I was like, oh no, never use mocks in production. It's like, ignore that flag. Perfect.
Run it?
Yeah.
So we didn't put anything in app settings JSON?
Nope.
I need to, because we're injecting it from the outside, right?
All the stuff that matters.
We're setting environment variables.
Can I just delete the file that I created then?
So the only problem you might run into is if you scroll down a tiny bit there, Maddy, is like a little bit more. So I also like check to see if like that GitHub access token is there. Else I throw an exception.
But it throws it when you resolve this service. Yeah. The question is, do you upfront resolve every service
or just when you click the button?
When the functions are created, so
we'll see. It's fine. There's no point trying to figure it out with running it. Let's run it.
I think it'll be pretty. We'll see. Is
that a bug?
No, it's a resource now. It's not a parameter. So it's always shown because it's not a hidden resource because it's not a parameter.
Oh, because I see.
Did you call that resource?
Yep.
And not
I
see. Parameter.
That's super. Yeah. Okay, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I set it at parameter. Okay.
All right. Oh, wait, sorry. We did on the functions.
We need a method to add a generator.
Alex fixed that bug too. There's an open issue.
Yeah. After those API keys.
Wait, but where's set mocks? Oh, it's just an if now, right?
It's an if now. When you set this, it'll reboot it. So nano that puppy.
So let me go back to this tab. Key.
Yeah, don't paste it in the wrong spot. Don't hit that little eyeball.
No, don't regenerate my key. Show me the endpoint. Show me the endpoint. There it is.
They are on different pages.
Ooh, I think one. Dan, potentially now we make environment variables.
Okay, just stopped it. It stopped it. It's running.
Did it restart?
Oh, yes. Yeah, it did restart. Yeah. Now if you go into the log,
environment variables, or it's
wait, scroll up first and see if use mocks got printed.
That's what I'm trying to find out. Yeah, using mock data ? Question mark.
Oh, what emojis don't work in the logs? James Newton King.
I know.
Did you use mocks? Maybe the code is wrong.
Oh, did we set it somewhere else?
Check the environment variables.
Check the environment variables.
But don't show yours. Just search for it. There it is. True.
That's still true.
Where are we setting it?
Search for the Azure stuff.
Hold on.
See if they got set.
That's true. All. But did we set it
dashboard?
On
you mean
in the dashboard?
In the dashboard. Go back to the dashboard.
No, I know. I'm looking. Hold on. I'm using my eyeballs. Okay.
No, Maddy, in the dashboard, not in the under.
Fowler, David. No, they didn't get set.
Oh, where's the AI service?
Oh wait.
Are you setting them every time, Fowler, in the original spec?
The callback always runs. The question is like, is that code right? That or statement?
Go back to the code, Maddy.
Oh wait, sorry. No, it's in the dashboard. It's in the dashboard. Show it in the dashboard. Show it. I'm just making fun of you.
It was in the dashboard before, and now it's in the code.
If don't use mocks, yeah, that looks correct. I guess you could add a breakpoint there and then see if it actually gets hit or not.
If we're debugging, yeah. That's what we're trying to figure out, right? Is it
open up VS, full VS. That's where functions debugging works.
You're right.
That's true.
God. Let me open it on a different window.
Show some VS love on the screen.
So because there's nothing in the app settings.json, then nothing's going to show up there, which is okay.
I mean, we could log to see if the volume.
If it's been when the call happens, you can just log it out if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
You can log it to the resource.
Is that easier, Maddy, to just log it?
Yeah, it's probably easier. Just do printf debugging.
Or I can just log to the output directly.
So Fowler, are you writing the code in here?
Yeah.
Yep. Grab the resource logger and log it to the resource.
Do we have that? Yeah, we have that. I could do that, I guess. I guess it's fine. Or logger equals. What?
Sophia says it works in VS as long as you don't run into that port bug.
The one she didn't fix yet?
I think that counts as restarting the editor.
Can I throw shade across a YouTube channel?
Are we wedding across a YouTube channel?
I know, right? No Copilot is killing me. Like I'm like having to type
everything out manually.
Entire lines of code. This is like
I know.
Savage. Endpoint open.
Wait, that's not what we want to log. We want to log in the with environment callback, not in here.
We want to just make sure things get set.
You just want to make sure they're actually getting values.
What are you pitching at me? Oh yeah.
Okay. Oh. Yeah, this is classic printf debugging.
Let me log the key too.
It's all right. Just log it as critical. It'll do the right thing, right?
I know, right? This part. And I guess I could do the same thing here.
Yeah. So is it context.services on that one?
Yeah, of course.
Did we have a different name?
It's as if two different people.
And then we didn't do any API review. Oops. At least you can add properties and deprecate other ones and make it get consistent. Where's your statement completion? It's so jarring not seeing it on this.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
Hold on.
You wanted to share your screen, Fowler?
This thing has services, doesn't it?
Yeah. The environment context doesn't have it. I thought it was services.
Apparently not.
What? It doesn't.
Someone fix that bug.
Someone fix that. And you can call it
has logger though. Look at that.
Oh, there you go.
Services. Who needs
services? The other one should have the logger then. That's what we're
I'm surprised it doesn't have services. I thought we added. Anyway, I will.
Two bugs.
Someone. .log information.
I'm gonna make it so it doesn't throw exceptions either. Basically,
that's smart. Yeah.
Who?
I'll just return the mock services if so.
Where?
No, I'm doing this in my program CS.
Yeah, not in the app host, in the functions program.
Yeah.
For what?
So that it doesn't throw an exception if the service isn't there, it just uses a mock.
Yeah, since we don't have like the keys to the other ones, I'm just gonna make it so like returns mock services for things that don't have tokens.
More granular, yeah.
I see.
Yeah, more granular. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
You're making it smart.
I'm trying. I'm trying to make you proud.
I'm proud of you, Ready Fan.
Oh.
On screen, on camera, I'm proud of you right now.
Wow.
Bullying.
When we get home though.
Oh no.
I'm gonna have a talking to you about some of this code. We're gonna have a conversation.
It's not my fault.
All right, let's run. Let me see. We got logging here. Logging here. Hold on, this is the same resource. I should put set endpoint, set model.
Yeah.
Okay. Print F debugging.
Beautiful.
All right. Do we run?
Yep.
All right. I think I saved my file in time. We'll see.
Just in time to break the build.
Someone said we should start making BDCP. Said we should start making bets at the beginning of the stream for how many bugs we're going to find. I think it's a good idea.
I think I got my changes in. That's good.
All right. Move it off of this window. Onto this window. Okay.
This is good because I knew that I did everything wrong. So this is good. Now this isn't going to persist the keys, so someone would have to go enter their keys like every single time.
We haven't saved them to user secrets. That would be how you would probably do this.
Yeah.
Well,
what?
We need to make it work first.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, once you get it working, if you don't want to be prompted every time you start the dashboard, then you save it somewhere. All right.
Did it restart though?
It did restart.
There we go.
But I'll restart it again.
I see a bunch of null.
Model is null.
Yeah.
That's the code that James wrote.
What?
Just the choices stuff you think's not working?
It says endpoint equals null.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Hold on. That's the first pass.
That's the first time.
Then it says...
Then you ran the command, executing command.
Then it reset
them.
But
the model's still null. Oh, did you type something into the model? Did you select something?
I did.
Oh, wait, hold on. Hold the phone.
Nano.
But it still says, okay.
I see why.
Okay.
So it's 100%.
Oh, no.
It's 100%.
No, that's right.
What's
wrong? Isn't it wrong?
That's right.
What?
If you select other, then use value 3. Else use
Else use what? Yeah, that's the issue.
Wait, who changed this code?
Definitely.
Don't do that. Do that.
Oh, there you go. Hold on. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so somebody.
You want to blame me for this?
Somebody did that. Yeah, there we go.
You know what? Okay. I accept my one error so far.
Yes. Oh yeah, you're one error.
I win 1-0. All right.
Okay, is it good?
It's good. Yeah.
Why are there 2 assignments?
Well, because
you set it, and then if it is set to a value called other, then you get it from a different.
No, Maddy. No, hold on. Maddy is correct.
Buggy.
Are you going to do it all in line?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
There you go.
Buggy.
Better. Yeah. Look at that.
Thank you.
No, I did it wrong. Don't do that. Now, I don't know what's better or not because now I'm actually indexing into the data twice.
Inefficient.
Well, I don't know. Is the compiler smart?
There's a feature of compilers called common sub-expression elimination that tries to find the same indexing in arrays and values, and it will hoist it to a local before, so you don't have to
especially here because you're doing it in evaluation and then you're doing it in the thing. It's like, well, I'm always going to evaluate. I may as well just use the same value.
But who knows what happens?
Whatever.
Tobe knows.
If it works, it works.
Tobe definitely knows.
Tobe definitely knows.
We'll see in the blog post for this release. We'll find out.
Yeah. So this looks correct.
That looks better.
Yeah. If use other, use the thing. Else use the other thing. I'm not a big whatever I just did. Ternary operator.
Yeah.
You're not. I love using pattern matching, but then I get flamed on Twitter for it.
I would rather use pattern matching.
Where's the endpoint?
See, that drop down's nice.
That drop down is really nice. Okay, stopping, finished, restarting. I'm gonna click the button.
Excellent.
There
you go. Use Mox false.
Use Mox equals false.
And is it actually going to do something now? So which ones don't require keys?
Just do like Hacker News.
Hacker News.
Wait, I need a link. Let me find a contentious record.
Find a good one. Find a good Hacker News.
Actually, do this better. Go to feeds.
Oh, wait. What?
And then
Hacker
News? Go to Hacker News. Then do fetch content.
I didn't know
we need a blob container for this. Oh, we need one more blob container.
One more blob.
Fix it.
Okay, hold on. I need to find.
God, this app host is out of friggin' control.
It is good.
Yeah, this could do us some refactoring, but it's fine. It's
because of the tabs.
Yeah, I have a Hacker News cache. That's the blob. Okay, I'm gonna create it.
How do I unfollow you? How do I unfollow you?
Keep following. Keep following.
Blobs.
I can't.
It's all right. We're following James now.
I forgot about that one.
Okay, that's it.
That's
rerun.
Wait,
rerun.
Okay. All right. So what it does, because Hacker News, like the API to like go get all the Hacker News articles, is like just a random JSON file. It's wild.
That's pretty cool.
So I cache it. So I have a timer trigger that goes off, grabs the Hacker News, stores it for like 30 minutes for that feed.
That's cool. All right.
I am pretty cool. Thank you. Now
So
you need to
I'm gonna have to put my stuff back in again though.
Yep.
Yeah, it probably would have just been easier to grab an actual Hacker News article. But we found a bug, so that's all that matters. Features. Okay.
Stop, finish, restart.
That's
I guess
fast.
I'll sanity check. That was really fast. I like that.
Fast. Almost too fast.
False. Okay, good.
Oh.
Here.
You know, the other thing we could have done instead of logging, you could use the interaction service to post a news screen that tells you the new values that it got, and then you just hit OK to continue.
It's okay, Maddy. Just go get a Hacker News article and paste it. I'll figure this one out later.
Okay, whatever.
News.hackernews.com.
What is it?
I don't even know.
I just literally
just type Hacker News in.
Type in Hacker News.
Use this article that's like C# centric.
Did you send it somewhere?
Just pick one. It's fine.
Why is the Rust compiler so slow?
That's pretty funny.
Number 2.
No.
Weird expressions.
See, now you're thinking too much.
Oh my gosh, this is painful.
No,
I sent you one.
No, not that one. You gotta hover over.
You did send one? Oh, okay.
Did you get the right link?
Okay. Please work.
Enter doesn't analyze?
I don't know. Claude doesn't like enters.
Submit form on.
That's so true.
It hasn't failed yet.
Wrong one.
Is that the article or is that the comments?
It will.
Whoa!
Oh, there you go. Perfect.
Oh, it's
got a lot of comments. Nano approves. Nano can do up to like 2,000.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it could do more. It's just really slow.
Did it call OpenAI? Do we know?
It should be.
How do we know?
We don't have OpenAI as a resource, so we won't see that as a span, right? Yeah. You'll have to go and find the outgoing request.
It should show up It should show up as an.
It should show as an HTTP client call, shouldn't it?
Yeah, as an outgoing call, not in the logs, but in the traces.
In the traces from functions. This is all the web app. So there's.
Yeah. Good.
Oh yeah.
Functions.
600.
Look at this. What? Is that paging?
So for every
comment individually,
it's the only way it works. Yeah. Yeah.
Is it parallelized?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
I think
it kind of looks like it from the timeline. So.
Yeah.
Wow.
I believe it is. Yeah. So Hacker News, they're all
just
everything's a GUID. Did it do it? Go back to the app.
It did. Look at it.
Look at that.
Wow.
Amazing.
That's crazy.
Incredible.
I didn't think anyone would ever be able to run this app ever without.
Well, here's the real test. Damian or Fowler, one of you needs to pull my branch in F5 and see what happens.
Oh, God. Did you commit to code?
I'm doing it right now.
So I guess now you're saying, Fowler, we could now once you set those environment variables, you can set those environment variables back. Now, could you then would you want to then seed those forms with the data? You know what I mean? Like
if they have current values.
Yeah.
So you can change them.
Yeah.
And then the last part is we want to save them so that they're persisted across runs.
Definitely do not merge this PR.
Oh, I'm definitely merging it.
This PR is absolutely not.
All right, I'm going to send it. I'll send it in the private chat so one of you can grab it. And I'm going to send it in the popular chat so you can all.
All right, I'll do it. No one is acting. I will do it.
Thank you.
I'm staring. I'm like, what do we need to fix first?
Where's the wait?
Share your screen.
Wait, what are we doing?
Share your screen.
Hang on. Am I going to the PR? Is that what I'm doing?
I mean, just grab my branch is on a fork, so I made the PR so that you can find it.
I see, so I can find it. Okay, finding which of my 14 screens I'm trying to share.
What's the search tabs hotkey? Oh, there we go.
Okay. Try that. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right.
There you go.
So this branch. You get to see my flow now.
Omnideck, I'll give it to you. I will say that it was in fact Friday behavior. I will give you that.
Can you question for you? You know, we created the containers, but can we create the actual like a file, like a blob inside of a blob container? So what's happening is when I go and say, hey, go get all the files, it's when I go say go get all the Hacker News articles, it's basically saying go look for this specific file, all.json, inside that blob. So it's expecting that file to exist even if empty. Like from Aspire app host, can I actually create a file inside the blob?
Yes, you can.
Oh, okay. So that's what I would need to do to get that Hacker News thing to work.
Yes.
Because right now it's expecting a file to exist because I'm terrible.
Oh, that's what the 404 is. Okay.
So it's going off.
Yeah. Specific file in the blob. Yeah, you can use the Azure Storage APIs. You can hook the resource ready event on the blob itself.
Yeah.
Blob container, and then you can do an upload.
Yep.
Do I need to update my Aspire CLI? Probably.
Do you have it?
Yeah.
I've got some old version of some daily build.
It's definitely old.
I should probably actually just change the function call to not expect a specific file to just be there all the time. You know what I mean?
Maddy,
I should
you have
just
the command?
create it if so.
Yeah. Aspire.cli. And then -- pre-release.
But I need a oh, you've got the config already?
Yeah.
Is it one word, pre-release?
Mm-hmm.
James, I would argue that maybe you want to do that in the app itself. Like you can do the blob creation in the infra, but the actual file creation you may want to do in the app. That's more like an EF migration, where you want to do it like so it work in when you deploy it and locally.
Got it. Oh, I actually figured out why it doesn't work now is because I have a pound if not debug, then include that function because I didn't want people to run it and then for it to like query the thing all the time. So that's bad.
I see.
That's why. But to your point, yes, that's probably what I should do.
So one super interesting pattern for remote service calls that you could do as a testing thing locally. One thing the Azure SDK team does is they record actual runs and they record responses. And they have this framework for like replaying requests and getting catch responses essentially. So your mocks are actually like runs. You got it working?
I got no errors. I just ran it.
What?
Yeah, let me give you my key. Let me DM you my keys.
Oh, hang on. I gotta get my password.
So now you guys know why I like compiler directives, right? Because Mott is the one who like taught me.
I would never use them for anything.
.net.
Here.
But Mott is a compiler directive fanboy.
Like look at that. Nice.
Okay, we're in. Hacker voice.
You're in.
And then I need to get my keys, right? So I need to go to
right
the
now
functions
I'll use mock data. So you could fake it.
Oh, fake it first?
You could fake it first with the mock data.
So what do I do?
Type in.
I can't be seen on YouTube with y'all talking about
post in the Hacker News link and it'll be fine.
What's that?
I can't be seen in this space talking about pass me your keys. Like we should be using actual authentication. Okay, just no. I don't know these people. They're on the same stream as me, but like I don't know anything about these people handing around keys.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Oh, handing keys to each other?
Passing around keys. Okay, that's why I can't be seen.
We did talk about keys before you joined and how they're not ideal.
Correct.
We should show. Okay, before we go, then we should show the new key vault feature.
Okay.
Well, it's already 12:30.
We don't have to run it.
There's your mock. Now, I DM'd you on Teams, not on StreamYard, because that's at least more secure.
People who know what video this is, that's a deep cut. Well, recent deep cut, but anyway.
Is it your .NET Run FCS file?
What? Sorry? What?
What video was it?
Was it .NET Run out? I'm not going to tell you. You have to
rewind the video.
We have to rewind it back and figure it out.
Did you just paste your API keys into Teams, Maddy?
I did absolutely no such thing. I would never do that.
I'm surprised that Teams didn't get mad at you.
The API key is like literally, it looks like a keyboard smash. Like it doesn't even look like a. Every time you paste on words.
I'm terrified. I'm also terrified that he didn't. Okay, the nice thing is the API key would be so long you wouldn't be able to actually get it.
Right.
That's right.
Correct.
So, yeah, like all of it.
Narc Braver.
That is so fast.
It's so fast.
Yeah, that was fast.
Well, I write really proficient code. So.
You do.
That's our code in the app post, just so you're wondering.
All right, now put in that Hacker News thing.
Oh, it has to be Hacker News, doesn't it?
This guy Hacker News or a dev blog?
What is the one?
Oh my gosh! Of course, this is your most.
It's the most recent one, so that's the one that it came up as.
Nope. Yeah.
It's gonna be so many comments. It's gonna be so many API calls. I'm sorry. I wish Hacker News was better. So what happens is when you query the Hacker News, it just gives you a list of IDs, and then you have to go query every single ID separately.
Dude, it's working.
I know. I'm pretty.
Wait, actually?
Yeah, 618 comments.
Yeah.
Look.
Whoa.
Okay, that was pretty. I mean, it's always impressive when we get like this app was so not in a runnable state when we started. That is pretty amazing that we got it to that point.
Without having to modify any code, or any.
You didn't modify any app code.
Yeah, no app code.
No post shenanigans, really.
Yeah.
Well, we deleted his bad app code.
No app settings.
No, we did the config stuff.
Yeah, but that was wrong though. That was the thing. I never wanted it to be that way. And Safia has now reminded me that I could have just added app settings.json and done it the right way.
Oh my!
Love it.
I mean, this is
what would be cool is if at dev time you automatically took the password from the config too, so that you don't even have to do the copy paste shenanigans from the environment variable the first time. Like, there's a couple cool
what does it do?
Automation things you could do with that still.
What's all this stuff?
That's blob.
That's blob stuff.
Where's the one where it calls Hacker News? How do I?
Right there.
Oh, there. 674.
674. Keep scrolling.
Oh, I love it. Okay, that's cool. That is very cool that we got that working, I think. I'm impressed.
Wow.
Holy whoa.
Successful stream, fellas.
So how would you save those things back now?
Yeah. That's where we need to end. Oh, yeah. Let me take your screen off. How would we save those things back, Fowler?
The keys?
Yeah.
User settings. So we don't have user secrets. We don't have a public service for that, though. The users, that's just a internal one.
Yeah.
We don't have an API for user settings anywhere. Like, it is all internal. And I mean, just like in normal ASP.NET Core, Microsoft extensions, it's basically one file that we just copy around through all the places that have to use user settings. And so that's what we do in Aspire as well. You could just grab the code from the Aspire repo. It's like user settings manager or user settings something. Is the class name. And it's as silly as you would think it is. It's basically a bit of code that uses an XML parser to load your project file, find the user secrets ID, and then it knows how to combine that with the special folder, which is your user profile folder, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And then it just loads the JSON as a dictionary and then edits it and then serializes it back to the JSON file again. It's pretty basic, which is why we've never bothered to make it a first-class API. So you could do that if you want to mimic what Aspire itself does for things like the generator password, which it stores in user secrets. That's literally what it does. It just uses that type. So you could do that. I'm not really. I mean, the alternative is you have another resource that is an API that you like save data to or something, right? You use some other way of saving data locally, but I would
like locally, like have like another
like a database or a file in the repo. Yeah, I would just use the secrets. That's what it's for. Is to save this type of information that each developer needs to set up on their machine. Is typically use user secrets. So
yeah, that's what I would like to use is just user secrets. That's what I'm using locally on my machine, and that's why I was merging the user secrets together, right?
Yeah, it's just that's automatic. You don't have to do that. Like, user secrets is by default added as a config source for anything using the hosting APIs when you're running under development, when you're in the development environment.
Yeah. So that's why, because I had put stuff in the local settings.json, which I didn't need to, that's why it would have gotten my user secrets. It does get my user secrets automatically. I see. So that's all we need to do is store it back in user secrets.
Yeah, I think that's probably the right thing to do for this stuff. Then it would prompt the first time because you don't have it, and then it's there each time you run. Just like the password prompted me the first time, I grabbed the password. If I run again, I won't need to put that in because it got loaded into the app hosts config from the user secrets for the app host.
Cool.
But it does make me think now whether we should wrap our code in a service, Fowler, even if it's just in Aspire, and we just have a user secrets manager API in the Aspire app host DI, so it's easy for people to do this.
I think one of the thoughts is to make parameters be promptable by default. So if you don't, if you describe parameters and you don't specify them, and they're not auto-gened, we would prompt for you. We would store it. And
you wouldn't need all these weird closure variables we did here. We would just create parameters for everything.
Yeah, we have to figure out how to expose. I think the same kind of APIs, like so you can store stuff yourself.
Yeah. Yes.
So we need we need to remember this checkbox in the prompt, and when you click remember this, it's an option, and it remembers it. Yeah.
You could do that.
Yeah, we're gonna end up with a lot of, I think, higher level APIs on top of this low level interaction service that does that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, you could definitely store some of the stuff in app settings, not the keys.
Or the you don't put the keys in there.
App settings.development gets loaded automatically.
Right.
Yeah.
Hosting.
Well, like we could write them back to that.
But because they're keys, I don't want to put them in there because I don't want to ever accidentally click on a file.
Yeah.
And they show up. Right. I want to be able to right click user secrets.
So remember, user secrets is a bit of a misnomer. It's basically user config. It is stuff that you don't want in source control.
Yes.
Right. And so we purposely put it not in the source control folder so that you can't even accidentally put it in source control.
Right.
So app settings.development is in source control. That's meant to be shared config that every developer uses when they're in development. Some people use a pattern called app settings.local.json, which we have actually in some of our eShop apps. So that's where you have local config that isn't secret, but then you have to manually git ignore that file.
Yeah.
Right? And so then you can tweak the hosting config APIs to load from a separate file, app settings.local.json. But I just use user secrets. It's just easier. It's just that some people don't like the fact that you can't see it as easily. You have to go to a different folder if you just want to look at all those values.
That's why I like it. So look at Fowler going
ham in the
just
code,
writing it to a .env.
Oh, this is how people do it in other languages, right?
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah, they shove it in a .m file, which by default is excluded, I think, from source control, right? In most.
Is it? I hope it is.
Yeah. Well, and then you read it, and then you would read it on startup here. Yeah. And if it has it, and then you would pipe it into there.
Yeah. .env is hidden on Mac by default too, because all dot files are hidden on Macs by default, I learned.
Yep.
But not on Windows, and not on, I don't think on Linux. Maybe it depends on the distro.
There we go. Env file. Super simple. Problem solved.
And then you need to read it at startup if it exists, and then pipe it into that part with in the very beginning.
Now, this is fine. So this is interesting because this is like we prompt for these values, so you have to take an action to make this happen. Versus you could just call this.
That's what I said before.
If they weren't there,
right.
This has been, we're doing this in a command. You could just move this code to run after you call run.
Exactly.
I mean, I wouldn't do that. I would create a service like an iHost lifetime or something, like, and have it do it that way. But yeah, you could, or just subscribe to an event.
You do it before start and then
do it on before start, and then the dashboard would open and immediately you would get prompted. And then you could still have the command so that you can change the keys at any time. You can do both, right? You just factor it out into some new helper.
Oh my gosh, should we show that?
I mean, we could just keep coding all day if you really want to.
Who's running?
Are we over time?
Yes.
Oh yeah, but I mean,
we don't really have an end time on AspiriFriday.
Yeah, we just go until we're done.
Should we? I do have to leave in 14 minutes, but you don't actually need me for this, so this is great.
What do you mean we need you?
So maybe that's the place to end. Like, so what we were just saying is take this code and factor it so that not only is it a command, it's something that prompts when you start the dashboard if the data is not present. That's what we're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, off you go. That sounds
great.
So
the only problem is I can't use refactoring, right? So like, it's like a pleb.
Pleb. Clone the repo and share your own.
Clone the repo and do it yourself and share your screen.
Are you kidding me? I'm like already like in. Let's just do it.
You know what you can do? Did you start the live share? Oh, did you start the live share in the browser, or did you start the live share in VS Code?
In VS
Code.
Oh, then why isn't? Oh,
it's not.
Some things work.
I think you need to. Do you need to install? Is Copilot installed?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Oh. Because I know in the browser it doesn't let you do it because it's not available in VS Code Web. So you're saying you could? Do we want to prompt the people every single? I guess I could just say cancel.
Let's show it. Let's show. this stuff.
So you're going to prompt it's going to start and you're going to prompt the people to enter the values.
If they haven't.
If they don't exist.
If they don't exist.
And if they hit cancel, it'll just use mocks.
Got it.
And then they can enter them at any time by invoking.
Oh my god, is Maddy typing?
Why is this?
Something screwed up. Oh.
I'm trying to add an icon.
Okay.
Nice.
It's important work.
I agree.
Because you kind of want them in both places, right? You'd want to,
yeah.
You know.
So that's what he's doing. He's moving the logic into a method, a local function that he can then call from both places.
How do I know our icons?
It's obvious.
Aspire command option.
Resource name.
Icon.
Cancellation token.
And then what you would do is you would refactor this into like a helper method, like a extension.
You would put this in on a type. Yeah, he's just doing it as a local function inside the app host top level statements, but you could do it as a type and then just call it.
Yeah, because that way your app host is slim and trim.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this is at this point, it's just code factoring, right? Like just it's whatever. Make it a big mess or
it's
make
called
it nice.
Be a good software engineer.
Exactly. I didn't want to say it, but you got it working first, and it's all in one place. It's easy, and then you tidy it up afterward.
All right, let my dog out.
Millie! I can't pick an icon. This is the hardest part.
Are you looking at the Fluent Icons database
I am
right
looking
now?
at the Fluent Icons.
Yeah.
I know what I'll do. I'll use the beaker.
A key. What about a key?
Oh, a key is good.
Key. Can you use an ASCII or emoji?
You can use they're Fluent icons. So you have to give the name of a Fluent icon in here, and then it maps to
the thing.
To the SVG that's in the Fluent icons library that we reference in the dashboard. Custom icons is something that we've talked about supporting, but we just haven't done it. Like,
gotcha.
You would have to send SVG.
Probably. Someone was asking me in the chat earlier if my app does live YouTube comments, and the answer is no, because actually YouTube doesn't have an API for live stream comments. Now there are scrapers out there, but the problem is also YouTube comment or chat messages don't get persisted, so it's very complicated. Myself, Jeff Fritz, other people have written. There's open source Python libraries. I actually at one point was hosting a Python library that did it, but they change their APIs nonstop and add new things. It's very brittle. So unfortunately, they don't have an API for it. That is for sure. So, but it's a good question. I would love to. I think that, and then Twitch also is like Firehose, so it's real time. You can't go back in history. I don't think it's kind of like.
Yeah, I think you have to watch the stream to see the comments, right?
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. So I don't do those because it's way too complicated. But it would be nice to have.
Yeah.
So this almost works, maybe.
You have to give it a resource.
Oh my god, this is chopping away some crap. This is
Oh, do you think that it doesn't give you Copilot IntelliSense because you have Copilot turned off, Maddy, on your end? No.
We've never seen it work.
That's why. Wait, trust workspace to continue. That's why it didn't work. Game over. I'm done typing.
What's wrong? What's going on? You got it working?
Yeah.
What was it?
You have to trust the workspace.
Oh. 5 shows in, we finally figured it out.
Oh my god!
I'm never
typing
Game changer.
That's hilarious.
Wait, is that going to... Hang on, Fowler. That's going to do it for every resource.
Yeah, well.
You don't want that. You want it for the specific resource, don't you? Just put in the pass the specific resource to that. Yeah, there you go.
.resource.
Okay.
Looks good.
So now, basically, when the app starts, you prompt for values. Does it not? And it will just always prompt. It doesn't prompt only if it thinks it needs it. It just does it every time at the moment.
Yeah, we don't have a things it needs it feature yet.
No, I just meant No, that's fair enough because we're not doing storage.
Can you override the cancel button to just be use mock data?
You could have another button that is use mock data that just sets everything.
Do you want cancel to mean use mock data?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I got Copilot. Oh my god.
I can't see your Copilot though, so it looks like you're just kind of screaming at the computer.
And then a whole bunch of code shows up instantly.
Yeah.
Trust the workspace, TIL.
Is that it? So do you want to prompt? Do you want to sometimes to prompt only if?
We're not storing the value, so we don't know. We have nothing to do that off, right?
No, I have Copilot.
No, I just want the cancel button to say.
Oh, you have an M file. I forgot you did that. Yes. Okay.
Oh,
just making that stuff.
All right. So now you can, if you have keys, don't prompt. If you don't have keys, treat it like a first time run experience.
All right. Whatever. Let's build it up. Directory.
It's like can't even keep up with Fowler.
This is supposed to be.
Are you following Fowler, or are you just scrolling around looking?
No, I'm trying to figure out how I would overwrite the cancel button.
You would override it? What do you mean?
So
you wanted to say something else?
I wanted to say just use mock data.
I don't think that's supported at the moment. I think it's either you say yes or no.
You can look at the prompt. It's saying there's an options. I think you can pass it. I don't know what it can do though.
I didn't think we had custom.
I think we can because I made this comment on James and he said you can set whatever you want. Not this James, Newton King.
The other James, yeah,
better James.
So is it an options object that you have to pass into the prompt async?
It's probably
Okay.
I'll let Fowler finish what he's doing, so we're not jumping around too much.
Okay.
Oh, Alex has a good point that before resource started is going to fire again.
But that's okay because he's writing the code to not prompt if you have a key.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Right?
That's true.
So, but it's going to fire every time if you're using mock at the moment, unless he writes another value to the end, which is we've asked the user once. Like, don't ask me again.
What was that? I missed it.
So before resource starts, fires every single time it starts. So you need to preserve the fact that they've already been prompted. If they just hit cancel to use mocks, you don't ask them every time you start.
Yes, that's true. If you choose to use mocks,
if you choose to use mocks, just store that in the same end file.
Maybe it's like has been prompted. Well, because you want this to come up if they click the button every single time, just not when it.
So if they click,
it's simply the first time. So on your event,
is it just the first time?
It's just the event handler, I think, is where we wanted to ensure that we just don't ask them over and over.
Yeah, just make that a bool of like first run equals true.
Yeah. Then you could even, in that call to the interaction service, you could have a message that says, to bring this up, invoke the command. You can run this at any time on the command if you wanted to do that type of thing.
Yeah, if not first run, return. Yeah.
Oh my god!
Interesting.
So people are timing you in the chat, Fowler, just so you know. 3 minutes in this thing. 3 minutes to go.
If this is like set, this is fine. This should work.
And then did you also use? Yeah. That should work.
I want to say two things though. If first run,
right,
I could just like.
I think this is how all of them end. Like everybody just has their hands on their face and just like staring.
Just be reading other people's code while they're typing.
That's how all AspiriFridays end.
It's true. We all just are kind of like, okay. You're going to yell at Safia in 3 minutes? Wow.
Me?
Yeah.
That's what she said.
Jerk.
Probably.
Well, what did Safia do to you?
This is like really good stuff. This is really good stuff. prompt for values equals true, equals false. If prompt for values equals false. Reads better. Okay.
All right.
Don't prompt for values if you have values in the end file. I could make this more. Nah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
All right. So you need to clear delete your end file, I guess.
I don't have one.
No, whoever's running this needs to delete their end file so we can see the full flow.
Oh, there's one.
Has it not been run since you did that?
There shouldn't be one, no.
Okay, sorry. I thought you'd run it once since the end file code had been written.
Hold on. So prompt is all this stuff, and then it clears values on cancel. Do you want it to prompt if there are no values?
No.
And before start?
Or is only the first time, what we said.
So if you restart the resource
yep.
and you cancel prompt, it'll just fail to start.
It'll just, we don't want it prompting every time if you said just cancel because you want to use mocks.
Just once like as long as values don't exist. Yeah. First run and no values exist.
Yeah.
All right, try it. I don't know if it works. Nick said switch expression on name. I should do that. That's
That is a good idea.
Thank Copilot.
Start that dashboard.
All right. Oh, it did it! It prompted me.
Did it work?
Oh, there you go. Nice.
Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cancel.
Okay.
Yep. So now you're using mocks.
Okay.
So it didn't restart, so that's good.
Use mocks true.
Yep, that's true.
Yep. Okay.
Well, it didn't start the resource until she canceled because he handled the event and didn't return until the interaction had finished.
Right.
So you actually blocked that resource starting as part of asking the question.
But that's good.
And it will block people waiting for it too.
Wow.
Yep.
That's
and then
cool.
now I should be able to do this, right?
Yep.
And then what I could do is I could have more API keys. So I could have like blue sky, blah, and then you could enter the ones that you care about. And then
it can be app specific.
It can be app specific.
Stopping, finish, running.
Use mocks true.
Nope,
should be
false.
false now.
That's good.
There it is. Use mocks false.
False. Check to see if the file is on disk, but don't show the file content.
Yeah, don't open it. Definitely don't.
In the VS codes.
There it is.
It's there.
Yep. Don't click it.
Got it. Don't click it.
Don't click it. I'm not gonna click it. And now I should stop and restart the app host now, right?
This is why user secrets is superior.
100%.
Well, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And now we have to build the freaking API to access it in the app host. So thanks.
Yeah. You're welcome. That's what this show's all about, right? Those paper cuts.
Exactly. All right.
I think this has been a successful demonstration of what this
did it work?
It started right up, bro.
Look at
Bingo.
That.
Bango.
False.
That's so good.
Look at that.
Wait, that's crazy.
I mean,
Aspire first run experience, custom first run for your project. That's
good.
awesome.
I'm gonna retire. I'm done. It's good enough for me.
And I'm going on break.
We're done.
All right.
And on that note,
I think we called it. Yeah.
Have a great weekend.
Yeah. Don't forget to commit that code, Maddy.
James, thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for making my app way better. I can actually use it now. I feel like that was the thing. As I was, Glenn was watching me try to start my application, and I was like, I had VS Code and VS. One was around the back end, one was around the front end. He's like, you know, you have an app host. I'm like, yeah, but I did it wrong. And I was like, nothing. I was like, nothing works. He's like, what do you mean nothing works? He's like, it should just work. And I was like, it doesn't. So, and I was like, let me conditionally compile out all this code to get it to work. So thank you guys. This is great. Now I have like a good starting path to go on. So this is pretty rad.
There we go.
That was awesome.
Another Aspirification. We'll have you back in like 2 months and we'll do deployment with app service with this.
Yeah.
That'd be rad. Yeah, that'd be rad. So
that's what we'll do.
Cool.
All right, kids. See ya. Have a good weekend.
See y'all.
Thanks, y'all too.
Bye.
Bye.